They've been doing so well at shutting down the Black Cat, and if they're able to do it again here against JFT, there's a world where Kanga are able to get the slight edge over JFT, who do have that key Black Cat player. But as we head into the draft, CB, what are you feeling?
I mean, it's a little bit tough to call because Kanga do have that swift 2-0 victory over Vulcan Red that's giving them a lot of credibility. And the eye test against the Chiefs, they look pretty strong. But recent history is on JFT's side. You know, in that tiebreaker, JFT managed to beat Kanga 2-1. In another world, it might have been JFT qualifying for playoffs instead of Kanga. And, you know, while that might not be the world that we're living in, it is still like a feather that you can hold in your cap, right? And that alongside, just like we predicted, getting that Black Cat through the pick and ban phase, that insta-protect for Joji, exactly what we thought we were going to see from JFT. That is now 2 feathers in the cap. So I'm rocking with JFT until I can see that that Kanga have an answer for Joji specifically.
I mean, getting the one-sided dino is a step in the right direction. Being able to try to attempt a grab onto either the Black Cat or what inevitably could show up would be an accompanying dive Vanguard on the side of JFT to help out the Black Cat in terms of getting that backline access. So it's all eyes onto Kanga again, really, making sure that can they find where this Black Cat is? Are they able to shut it down reliably? As JFT navigate further and further, they're looking very, very hell-bent on getting rid of as many strategies as possible right now.
I do kind of like the one-sided Phoenix for Kanga, but at the same time, it is also Hell's Heaven. I feel like that's one of the maps where she's a little bit weaker. If this had been like a Burn into T'Challa, that would be a very high tier. Like, that'd be a coup to steal that one through. We'll see if it ends up paying off when it comes to Hell's Heaven here, but JFT hovering a one-sided Rocket, and I think that's an interesting look if they try to lock in this protect. Rocket is someone we haven't talked about a lot, but we've also seen a lot of, and what he's able to enable with the BRBs and the Cosmic Yarn Amplifiers, and just, you know, the neutral healing that he can put out, and also being able to survive any sort of dives that come through. Like, there's so much value that does come through with that Rocket pick, and I think his stocks have slowly been rising, and JFT, maybe they're identifying that. Maybe there's something there.
Yeah, and using the BRB to extend these fights, knowing that Kanga really like to go in hard and quickly. So if JFT are able to survive that initial barrage, means that JFT could easily win out in the long run. Kanga really like to invest in the short term. JFT looking to go a little bit more long term this time around here in the ban draft, and taking away some of those key ways that Kanga might try to shut down the dive that inevitably will come out of JFT, like taking away the White Fox, taking away a little bit more of those resources, means that Kanga are a little bit more limited, as Juicy is looking to operate on the Bucky yet again. So this is so far what we expected coming in for Kanga, the one team that doesn't really have a good and reliable Black Cat player.
If you don't have a good and reliable Black Cat player, you gotta have one of two things: a good and reliable Daredevil player, or a good and reliable counter to a Black Cat. It seems that Kanga very well might have the latter of those two things. We'll have to see, because Joji has just been running roughshod over the bracket pretty much since the jump. If he has access to this Black Cat, he is a threat, and lo and behold, he's got it. I like JFT's comp overall. It's a very aggressive kind of dive, classic dive with Captain America and Venom. You also got Peter with the Psylocke. I think that's going to be kind of an anomaly. I think Psylocke stocks have kind of dropped as of late. Peter maybe can prove us wrong here. We'll have to see. But you talk about JFT and the inevitable dive. I think leaving the Captain America open for Whoosh, you know, Isaac and Amir that as well, may have been a little bit of a misstep. But we will see, as the doors have now opened and both teams squaring up over here on the point, trying to size each other up and look for their man. Isaac and Whoosh are going to get in a little bit of fisticuffs action to kick things off. But Isaac has found who he really wants, and that is Joji. He wants to try and mark Joji and make sure that he doesn't get easy access to the back line. Finding Peter there as well, and going to, again, check Peter and force a retreat there. JFT getting early capture percentage on the point here, and Kanga, oh, Juicy with a nice little uppercut there, takes down Joji. That was clean, and now Isaac going in, taking down Whoosh as Joji gets rezzed, but that is still going to be a trade that you cannot afford.
Yeah, and JFT trying their best to try to pressure the backline of Kanga, but Isaac, you gotta give all the props to him right now, right? Covering every single base on this Eldritch Monument, making sure that JFT, if they want to go for a dive, they have to deal with Isaac, and with Isaac just covering all of those areas on this mission area, means that JFT just never found an opening, and Kanga were just able to pick them apart one by one.
Yeah, Isaac, I mean, like, he's doing a good job of marking either one diver or the other. You know, he does have to have his head on a swivel. There's 3 potential people that he's going to have to be on the lookout for. 4 if you count OP, but I mean, he's doing a good job at least so far. And once it all comes down to the fisticuffs, like, you know, Juicy able to get that Trooper's Fist, opens things up. But now Joji looking to try and strike again. No Isaac in his path, but Juicy is just clicking the heads right now. Kraken Impact coming out. Bro with a 2-piece right off the rip, and Joji is going to be among those casualties. And the fight's already over. JFT don't even get a say in it.
Yeah, only one ultimate invested on the side of Kanga. The rest of JFT need to find something to rely on. I'm looking at Slippery with the CUIA coming up very shortly.
Yep.
And Peter, yeah, that stagger is going to force JFT to play passive for just a few more seconds. So that gives a lot more time for Kanga to build up that ultimate economy, because once Slippery does inevitably use that CYA, Kanga will finally have responses with Isaac on the Freedom Charge.
I think the Phoenix ban for JFT is already rearing its ugly head, because the Psylocke play has not paid off dividends just yet. Revsy with that Endsong Inferno to burn down Slippery's CYA. There's a Freedom Charge coming out as well from Isaac, and he is just going to take the fight directly to Wosh, and Wosh never saw that one coming. Going to be picking his jaw up off of the floor before long, and JFT don't have very long left to try and get themselves back into this fight. Breaking the BRB again is Isaac, pressuring the back line. A little bit of patty caking happening here for JFT, but that is buying themselves some time. You can see the disengage now from Kanga as they have identified that OP is looking to try and trigger OT. Gonna go ahead and pop that Rampage. Invisible Boundary to try and give JFT a way forward on that fight. They do manage to take down Juicy with that Dance of the Butterfly, and Joji is there for cleanup with Rester. It's now or never for JFT. It's Jeff gonna come out from Sector, but bursted down by Wosh as Revsy trading out Peter on the other side. Now Joji needs to get active and be the cleanup, and the Janitor will mop Revsy right on up, and this is gonna be JFT kicking the door down and staking their claim, getting on the board. 99% though for Kanga.
And with only 1 or 2 ultimates invested on the side of JFT, Kanga could not find any sort of response, right? They used Sector with the It's Jeff, but it's only going to do so much. Kanga now on the back foot here. Rez needs to get closer and closer to that invisible boundary, but with JFT having all the aggressive moves available to them, OP with the Feast of the Abyss, Joji could easily dash right on in with the calling card, and at the very least, he might just try to pressure Rester to the point where he's going to have to use that invisible boundary right outside the mission area.
Oh no, OP got bursted down. Symbiotic Resilience was forced out early, and now Joji is caught without anyone to take away the aggro. OP's gonna be rezzed, but in the meantime, Wosh is getting bursted down and holding on 1 HP, and he's not gonna pop the Freedom Charge to live, and there's not gonna be a res for him, and now Revsy just coming on through with the damage. CYA coming through from Slippery as Peter moving over onto the buck. He is already gonna take down his contemporary in Juicy, but needs more, but can't quite find the target as they have all been concealed by the invisible boundary, a cloak in between himself and the rest of his targets. And he's going to take down OP. Sector traded out, and it's starting to fall apart, but as Wosh comes back, calling card, you're right, for Joji is on deck. He's taking down Rester, a nice little triple, and has Tinny in his sights as well, and with the Freedom Charge, isn't going to have to worry about any of the damage. Winter will be there for cleanup duty, 69% in JFT, going to put their foot down, not let Kanga find their way back in.
I mean, it's either Tinny or Juicy that has to be able to shut down Joji on the Black Cat. Either Juicy goes in with the Trooper's Fist to try to CC up Joji, or Tinny just bites the Black Cat down. Both options were not available. They both went down very early in that fight. So JFT could easily just rip apart Kanga's backline with a good calling card. Joji's gonna look to find another opportunity. Sector, you gotta run away, my friend. Gonna use a hide and seek to try to swim himself to safety, and he does so as Revsy will finish off the Black Cat.
Swift little backhand there, and nobody was going to be there to aid Joji in that attack as the Rampage came out from Tinny early on. This is going to be Visible Boundary from Winter, but they're lacking in stopping power. Peter trying to make up the difference, but with that Visible Boundary, it's going to be so hard for JFT to get anything done. Juicy coming in with a Kraken Impact, trying to take down Peter, and he will be bursted down, so Juicy rather, is going to go again. Kanga going to find the flip. It's Jeff. Slippery can't slip his way out of this one, and like he's going to be taken for a ride. Revsy taking down Wosh. OP is gone, and this is going to be Kanga taking Eldritch Monument. 99-99 though. We're kicking things off with a bang.
I mean, Kanga got the early momentum that they needed, and were able to use limited resources in order to extend that mission area claim for themselves. JFT, however, We're able to get that retake down just in time, and we're able to get up to 99%, but unfortunately, just could not get themselves over the line. Peter even matching Juicy on the Winter Soldier. Very interesting move. Try to maybe shut down Isaac, who has been, like we've been talking about at that first fight, right? Covering every single little angle that JFT could come from. And being able to shut that down means that JFT kept trying to find different angles. We can't go up high ground. We're going to try the low ground. Oh, Isaac's also there. All right, well, we got to go somewhere else. And JFT just never found that opportunity. Isaac is doing such a good job at marking all of those angles. And maybe that might be the difference here in this second round. But Peter now on the Winter Soldier means that Isaac has to be just a little bit more careful.
OP also swapping over onto the Emma Frost. I think JFT have abandoned their dive aspirations and are instead just going to go for a little bit more anchor. They do still have this Whoosh and Joji dive, but they won't have OP there on the Venom any longer to aid in that. So Whoosh is going to have to be the one trying to mark them out for Joji, holding up the shield, trying to get the most out of that team up, get a little bit of damage down range, you know, a little bit of quality of life. Perfectly accurate deflex coming out from that shield. JFT trying to anchor themselves on the point right now. OP building up that damage up against Tinny. Waiting to bait out the opportunity to go for that Diamond Form Carbon Crush. Maybe even get an environmental onto Tinny there as the damage is coming through and not a lot of healing. Tinny nearly burst it down completely, and Peter comes in with a Rotostern shot, puts him down, turns him back into a fossil, and OP is able to live through it. A late Fate of Both Worlds going to come on down, and Song Inferno to try and burn down this Cosmic Yarn Amplifier will do just that, but there wasn't a damage amp from Reznor's Fate of Both Worlds, so it's not going to convert into a KO. Whoosh coming through with a two-piece, though, Revsy and Juicy, and now, as Joji goes in, wants to get active, can't let Whoosh have all the glory, is going to have his pound of flesh as well, and JFT, off the back of that calling card, will get first cap.
It's just so difficult for both teams to try to play out this team fight, right? You can't play close to that environmental KO area. Everyone else has to play away from it, so effectively, half of that mission area is quite literally unplayable. And JFT were able to navigate the space to perfection and are looking to extend this even further with a good silent seduction to force away the rest of Kanga, because they're gonna get staggered for a little bit, but Joji is the first one to go down.
The Freedom Charge, sense that with Joji down, you need a little bit more staying power, and Whoosh can provide just that. Goes in really aggressive, though, and is getting CC'd away, and when that Freedom Charge expires, he might be in a world of hurting right now, gonna be able to get back to his team, but the damage just stacking up again from Revsy, who is hitting all the shots with this Phoenix right now, taking down Peter with a swift little headshot. The invisible boundary is but a formality right now as Whoosh comes back into the fray, takes down Juicy. Peter taking to the skies with a Kraken impact, has to go deep to try and shut down the Jeff Bolt, but Slippery fell too far back. You weren't, or sorry, Sector rather, fell too far back. You weren't going to be able to get that one, and that is going to be at Whoosh paying the Pied Piper for that one. But it is traded out again every time Kanga seem that they got one. They have to lose one in order to try and make anything happen out of it. So JFT still able to stabilize, get past the 60%. Isaac now with the Freedom Charge. Answer with a Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. Too much overhealth. Juicy wants to try and burst that one down with a Kraken Impact. But again, so much overhealth. And oh, see ya, White Queen. Tinny latches onto OP, digs those jaws in deep, and just yeets her off the side there. Isaac now going in deep as this is Kanga's moment to shine. They are going to find the flip, 80% for Kanga, but they are not done yet as Revsy with a nice little two-piece. Peter and Whoosh, one after the other. Revsy, the cleanup man, winning this one out for Kanga, but like I said, 80% for JFT.
80% will get to the point for JFT, but Kanga will flip it over, so Kanga used quite a bit of resources there. Isaac starting things off with the Freedom Charge to sustain the rest of Kanga, and then Rester comes in with the Fate of Both Worlds, means that Kanga, although they do get the flip, again, the amount of resources used to just get the flip over means that Kanga are gonna have to go for the close hold, because with the lack of ultimate economy means that Kanga need to play up close and personal. Tinny does just that with the Rampage and just barely gets himself out of there.
The shield just to conceal Revsy as he keeps hitting these shots. Look at the sparks just stacking up one after the other, bursting down OP. They caught out Joji early on in that fight, and Kanga holding so far forward that it's like we said, you know, you need map control in order to make the most out of this dive composition. It's so much easier to keep track of where Joji wants to play if the amount of places where he can reasonably play is basically null.
Yeah, look at the ultimates on the side of JFT. They're going to have 4, maybe 5 at the ready for this next engagement. Kanga, they want to pressure it as much as possible to try to maybe force JFT to use some of those ultimates outside of that mission area. but Kanga aren't able to do that. They instead reel back. Joji threatens things with the calling card, try to find an isolated pick, and they will find it with the likes of Sector.
And that is a high-value one. Revsy taken to the skies with Yensong Inferno, but it's the ground where you need to be looking because Joji has managed to find two and put them in that aforementioned ground. Tinny will turn around and find the peel, but JFT have found the flip, and Tinny's gonna have to trade his life for it, and there's just no healing because Sector went down so early. 88% in JFT, threatening to take this to OT.
Portal gonna be channeled, but it will be in time, so Juicy will channel it, and everyone on Kanga will at the very least step foot on the mission area to force overtime as we head into this fight. JFT still have a lot of ultimates to work with, but Isaac needs to get that freedom charge going and quickly, but Joji finds one. Revsy goes down as well. Everyone else on JFT just running over Kanga. The tempo is too fast for Kanga's metronome, and JFT take over round 2.
I mean, Joji just went in for Sector. Like, he knew exactly who he wanted. Good target prio to take down, again, that Jeff, where most of the healing is going to be coming from Kanga's formation. Went for Sector not once with the calling card, but twice in the next fight. And then even through the amplifier damage, like, it's just too much. You just can't deal with it. Like, Kanga, without that healing, it's just all coming your way, and you have no way to deal with it, no way to absorb it. Isaac going to be coming into this next fight with a freedom charge, and that's really basically it. There's not the best map for the environmental. It feels a lot farther away than it actually is for that ledge. Or sorry, it feels farther away than it actually. No, wait. It is farther away than it feels. What I'm trying to say.
There we go. We got there.
Listen, I need more caffeine.
It's one of those days, but still, Kanga, like, every single time they win a fight, it's always because they use a lot of those resources, right? Overwhelm the likes of JFT in order to get the things that they want, but JFT are surviving very well, staggering those ultimates to perfection. And in that final fight, JFT played fast and quickly before Kanga got their ultimates ready to go. Isaac was so close to that freedom charge, but with everyone on Kanga going down so fast, he just never found an angle. So at the very least, he will have it available for this fight. And keep in mind, this is going to be that first fight here for Domination. By far, the most important fight in all of Domination.
Revsy nearly got bursted down there. If you were paying attention to the health bars, going to be topped back up. Have a Sonic Seduction now coming out for OP, trying to riz up Kanga, but the Freedom Charge is going to remind them of their patriotism, their heritage. They know where they are from, and they know that they have the sounds of freedom, but so too do JFT, as Wosh is going to roll out the red carpet, force out the Fatal Bullets to come out from Rez turn. Revsy is going to strike first blood, finding Peter the Panther through that. It's going to be Rez right back up, but Joji will not, as Juicy coming in with that Daredevil. Nothing righteous about that cross, and OP currently getting crossed up right now by Tinny, and this is going to be Kanga just marching on forward, stomping their big dino claws along and getting the first cap.
And again, Kanga used both of their safety nets, right? All they have is Isaac on the Freedom Charge, Rester with the Fate of Both Worlds, and they use both of it again. Question becomes, how does Kanga extend this lead? Because right now, JFT have done a great job at clapping right on back. Kanga needs to find a way to stabilize here, as Tinny wants to extend this a little bit more with the Rampage. Close hold JFT, just like how they did back in round number 2. And so far, it's looking all the same, as Kanga will find more picks.
Going to be a BRB burned early on for Wosh. It's going to be a while before that comes back online, but it does mean that Wosh will have access to, again, try and break through this stranglehold, peel far back. Juicy gonna go ahead and pop that, let the devil out, but Isaac going in, taking down Peter. It's just too much. Like, JFT, even if Wosh is able to get out and force a little bit of aggro back, like, there's no one to capitalize off of it, because there is, yeah, the back cap's coming through, but it doesn't matter. Like, Kanga are gonna turn right around and basically take a 2v6. That might alleviate some of the pressure as the spawns from JFT start to come back on through, but is it going to amount to a cap? I don't think it's going to.
I mean, Kanga would want to try to close hold yet again, but I think Kanga know that JFT are going to have so many of those resources available. But Kanga, I argue, would have to play a lot closer into JFT's spawn, because if JFT are able to get away with using ultimates right on the mission area, it's going to be tough for Kanga to fight back the space that JFT are forcing themselves into.
Oh, no, the freeze, Wosh! Did he get caught in that jet bolt? I don't believe so. Tinny is going to come back out of it, though. A lot of bolts coming online right now for Kanga. Ensong Inferno and that Fate of Both Worlds. Invisible Boundary is going to keep JFT alive and in the fight, and give them a nice, safe veil from which to play through. And Peter tried to go big with the Kraken impact, but got shut down by Revsy with a two-piece. Revsy is keeping Kanga in this fight, 94% and counting. And if Revsy finds one more, it might just be all over. But Juicy going in deep, sliding into the backlines, DMs, and taking them both down. 1, 2, and they're done. Wosh with the freedom charge, but what is freedom when you are all alone? No one is there. The TP now coming through for JFT, but the big boy Tinny holding the door, stomping around, throwing a temper tantrum, and throwing JFT to the wayside. The Ruse will take map number 1.
Oh, Kanga finally solved the problem. They realized, hey, we're dumping a lot of those resources way too early. JFT were able to come back time and time again, but that time around, Kanga were finally able to complete the shutout in round number 3. So far, it's only map 1, and this is a best of 5. We have a marathon at our hands. If this is how close both teams are going to play against each other now.
And I guess I was wrong. I was saying, you know, maybe the Phoenix, the one-sided Phoenix for the side of Kanga wasn't actually going to pay off too well on a map like Hell's Heaven. You would have wanted something a little bit more open, but it doesn't matter because if you're just clicking heads left and right, doesn't matter what hero you're on. Revsy making a believer out of me. 19 final hits off of 37 and 5 KD. I mean, Joji that even on the Black Cat. By the way, Joji getting checked 13 times. Good lord, like they definitely had that Black Cat on a leash. Even Joji like couldn't get on top of Revsy to shut him down no matter how hard he tried, and you got to give the assist in that regard to Isaac, who was constantly playing bouncer, constantly trying to check all of the potential flanks that could have come out from either Wosh or Joji. So it seems like the objective is clear for Kanga. They do in fact have an answer for Joji's Black Cat. They just got to let Revsy click heads and do all they can to make sure no one can stop him from doing just that. And this highlight reel is no doubt going to be jam-packed with Revsy headshots and juicy Kraken impacts.
And you also got to talk about, right, JFT went the more aggressive approach. They went for the full dive composition. They didn't have any way to rebound to a different playstyle with the composition that they rolled out on. Kanga went full brawl and JFT went full dive. And if full dive doesn't work out, JFT didn't have anything to rebound towards to match the brawl potential that Kanga had. And Kanga, with that brawl, were able to just outlast JFT because JFT wants to go in fast, want to take you out quickly. And if they're not able to do that, they're going to lose space. They're going to lose out on the long term of those extended fights. And that's where Kanga really shined there, because finally, Kanga were able to stagger out their resources, play the long term, and they did just that, and they take over Hell's Heaven in a 3-rounder.
Yeah, it did have to go to 3 rounds, and I think that might be the thing that if you're JFT, you're going to be hanging your hat on, is you get to take the next map pick, take us to wherever you want. I like their performance on Super Soldier Factory, and I think if you can kind of lend yourself to something with a little bit similar map geometry, you might have a shot at getting yourself back in this one. Kanga take the lead 1-0. Can JFT even up the score? We're going to take it to a quick break, and we'll find out right after this.
Widow standing by. Another one bites the dust.
Do me a favor. Don't tell Alicia I was here. Oh, that looks like it hurt.
If only Sarah were here to witness me in glorious combat. You would not last a second in heaven.
Make way for King Namor. Namor does not lose.
Hell bends to my will. Another soul to join my legions.
Frink Castle, reporting for duty. Justice, pure and simple.
Well, a bit of a surprise Phoenix takeover on Hell's Heaven in Map 1. Gene Gray helping KNG Esports secure that first map. Dan, what happened here?
I mean, KNG figured out Brawl, figured out how to shut down the Black Cat, and JFT just couldn't find a way to rebound. They tried to rebound to a more Brawl-style composition, where Peter even switched out from another dive character to, at the very least, help out the Brawl as well, but KNG... We had questions coming in, right? Can they counter the Black Cat while also not having a Black Cat player themselves? And so far, after map 1, the answer seems to be a resounding yes.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like, at the beginning there, JFT kind of able to take control. When Joji was able to operate, they were dominant there on Hell's Heaven. KNG, like you guys talked about, a couple ult dumps here and there to help them get control. But once they figured out that moment-to-moment gameplay, CB, it kind of felt like that's where the tide shifted, and it was all KNG through the back half of the map.
And I think some of the biggest moments were when they were outright spawn holding JFT. And, even though it's not like a sign of dominance, a sign of asserting your dominance over the other team, it's also a pretty valuable strategy. We were talking a little bit in the green room about how, maybe JFT could have swapped to something like the Star-Lord instead of the Bucky, but when you're being spawn held, you need the Bucky to try and brute force your way through it. What are you going to do on Star-Lord? Fly into a wall? Like, where are you going to go? There is nowhere that you can go. You have to rely on Wosh and Joji to try and go for those back caps, open the doors for you, and only then does the map open up and the Star-Lord become viable. So you kind of force a very specific hero swap out of JFT and capitalize off the back of that, and I'm going to give KNG the benefit of the doubt and say that was completely intentional.
Yeah, it feels like they were just a few steps ahead of JFT there, all according to plan so far here for KNG Esports, heading over to map 2, almost ready to kick this thing off, going over to Araco next. So I guess kind of the question hanging in the air now is, what does JFT do next? Because it is clear that Black Cat is not just the automatic win.
I mean, they're going to try to do it again, right? Araco is very, very good in those, dive/rush down style of compositions. We saw XOXO back in preseason pull it out, and maybe JFT are looking to do something similar, although JFT seems like they have chosen the defensive side first, so we're not going to see anything aggressive right out the get-go just yet.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like maybe you need to cool their heels a little bit, take some time and kind of refocus up, because I imagine they were looking to just continue that momentum with Joji's Black Cat from last night that we saw so dominant there. But I have to imagine maybe they're not ready to give up on Felicia Hardy just yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's been their main meal ticket has been just get Joji on that Black Cat. Again, I think the Phoenix takeover of Hell's Heaven was not something that we predicted, and I think that could be another trap on Araco, especially once you get around that first corner. Phoenix is going to become a lot more deadly. The map starts to open up. There's a lot more verticality, a lot more places where she can play. A couple places where it narrows, and maybe something like a Punisher might be better, but you have to make sure that you don't just lose out on the Phoenix one-sided. That is a huge scout out from KNG, and it ended up making the difference for them on Hell's Heaven. I see no reason why it wouldn't on Araco. If you're JFT, your mission is clear. Either ban out the Phoenix or just don't give it up one-sided again.
And it really felt like JFT were struggling in the Brawl as well, right? We talked about it, right? They tried to match what KNG were doing, and it just seemed like it didn't work out. Like, the Bucky that was trying to be mirrored never worked out. It just felt like that they were relying so much on the Black Cat being able to put in the work. And if that doesn't work out, it just seemed like JFT didn't have anything to rebound towards.
Yeah, and definitely not the first time we've seen that happen here in Oceania. Teams come in with a game plan, riding on one specific hero or one specific strategy. They get the rug pulled out from under them and can't find a backup plan in time. And it just feels like we've seen that played out again here on map number 1. Almost ready here to get into map number 2. It is a best of 5, so JFT still got some time here to try and turn things around. But yeah, you guys already kind of alluded to it. This is JFT's map pick here, so I have to imagine maybe they're going to try to go Phoenix for Phoenix here.
Probably the best case scenario is to try and go Phoenix for Phoenix. Don't make Peter have to think about it. We've seen Peter also be a member of this team that can take over when he is given access to the Phoenix. That's kind of been the 1-2 punch of this team, but one punch they value significantly higher than the other, that being the Black Cat. I see no reason why that is set to change here, but it's going to be KNG that end up getting the first protect. They're going to stick with that Devil Dino. So I think if you're JFT, you know, maybe this first ban here ends up being the Phoenix, but what do you have to trade in order for that to come to fruition?
I mean, it's either the Phoenix or the Bucky.
The Mantis?
It looks like they're shuffling around. They gotta take away the Mantis, or else the rushdown potential of Kanga becomes so potent, and they're gonna do just that. Because they see, hey, Kanga locked in the Dino. We need to take away things that enable this Dino, and Mantis is one of those options.
If people forget about the speed boost coming through with some of the recent patches here, like Mantis is no longer just a damage boost merchant. The damage boost still nothing to sneeze at, but the speed boost can often be just as deadly. You know, you think about like Gambit's ultimate, like one of the hardest parts of his kit to deal with when it comes to that ultimate is the speed boost. There is that Phoenix Protect now going to come through for the side of JFT rather than the Black Cat, so maybe they are going to be willing to give that one up. One-sided Devil Dino, and now as the simultaneous bans come through, you got to imagine that Black Cat's going to be on the chopping block.
Yep, Kanga looking at the Black Cat. JFT want to commit the ban onto the Phoenix to force that pick one-sided, unless JFT look to think of a different option. Nope, it's gonna be the Phoenix gone. Kanga take away the Black Cat. So JFT, although they still have dive potential, if they do want to use their protect on something like the Daredevil, JFT at the very least will have options to brawl this time.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to go for a protect onto the Daredevil, because I mean then you're using two bans there. The protect onto the White Fox I think does open up a world of potential here for JFT. So this is good. I mean, they're getting access to two things that were banned out from them completely. They managed to steal the Phoenix, and it's not actually going to be the Daredevil that gets banned. It's going to be the Rocket, and I think like that kind of hurts, but you might be okay with.
Yeah, I'm not too big of a fan of the Rocket ban. I would have been more satisfied with the Loki ban this time around, because JFT, keep in mind, they're on the defensive side. So as it stands, JFT will have access to Loki Atom, which could become a problem if Kanga don't play very, very fast on the attacking side.
I think both these teams are valuing the Rocket quite highly. Like, this is Kanga now going for a one-sided Rocket, whereas JFT did the same thing last time around. A Luna Snow ban, is that what's going to come through here for the side of JFT? I do kind of hope so, because Luna Snow is S tier right now, guys. It's the damage that she can put out, not just the healing. No more are we in the era of Season 0 heal bot Luna Snow. And that does also mean that it ends up being one-sided for JFT. They're able to sneak that one through, so Slippery gonna be having that. They get access to the full team up. Ultron also getting through, so that triple strategist lineup is also a viability for JFT if that's something that they're privy to. The Loki as well, the Mantis, a lot of things getting through here for the side of JFT. I love this ban phase for them.
They have so many different options, so many ways to navigate on the defensive side.
It's literally like Golden Corral. Like, they just have a full buffet. It's like, oh, okay.
Like, they find a treasure chest and they open it and they see a flash of gold, and they're just like, oh boy, we have all these different ways that we can play on the defensive side. We have Loki, we have Adam.
I'll trade a Black Cat for I'll trade a Black Cat for literally everything. Sure, I mean, that's worth it.
And you can see it, right? Winter and Joji using the Vibrant Vitality team up as well. They're not going to run triple. They're not actually going to opt towards the Adam Warlock. Instead, they're just going to go for a more triple strategist focused lineup, putting all the damage boosts onto Peter, while Joji is just amplifying all of the healing, all the damage, because Winter will get benefit from that Vibrant Vitality team up with a very large regen domain, which also does provide damage boost.
This is about the brawliest composition I can think of for Kanga. A good old-fashioned Rocket, Punisher, and Bucky. Unfortunately, again, we are not in the era of Season 0 where those two get infinite ammo courtesy of the Rocket. Sometimes I wish that would come back, but it might be one of the most busted team-ups of all time.
That was so broken.
Yeah, what you think that one's worse, or Gamma Gang? Which one do you think?
I think the infinite ammo. Because not only was it infinite ammo, it was also increased attack speed, right? Everyone was just able to shred down the front line way too fast, but Kanga are making a lot of space at the current moment.
Yeah, speaking of attack speed, they have managed to take this attack with quite a bit of speed there. Isaac is going to have to peel back a good wall to section off OP, but he knows where it's placed, so can play around it and get all the healing that he needs. So JFT able to, at the very least, put their foot down for now, but now things are starting to open up, some more angles coming through. Hello, Peter, where has my Phoenix gone? Unfortunately, I don't think she will be rising from the ashes again this time. That is a one-way trip down, and with that Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, too much damage is going to be coming out now from Revsy and Juicy that JFT, they can't match it, so they're just going to have to give it up.
And Sector got the ultimate so fast, again, to the point where JFT could not react. Kanga go in quick, they go in fast, and so far are looking to cruise control their way to a first checkpoint.
Well, we might need to take a mulligan on this one. JFT do have an opportunity to try and get a retake here, but the shotgun damage from Juicy and a little bit more peppered in from the AR going to take down Whoosh. There's going to be that strangling prison into the Kraken impact, and they all just burst right down. A quad penta for Revzy, and that is an explosive way to put an end to point A.
Isaac and Revzy, wombo combo, strangling prison into the Kraken impact. The earth shakes for Revzy with the penta, and they did it at a perfect time. Slippery and Joji were so close to their strategist ultimates. If one of those ultimates went off, there was a world where JFT could have held off Kanga to see another day in that first checkpoint. But with Kanga making that first move, that was absolute perfection, not only in timing, but also in execution.
Whoa, swapping over onto the Doctor Strange, leveraging that team up with the Invis Woman. 5 ults coming online from JFT. They have to leverage them now or never. Joji going to go ahead and pop that Soul Resurgence. That is going to be the go button now for JFT. Can they convert this into an Elim? Not with the Invisible Boundary. They're going to have to mirror that one. So 2 Strategist Ultimates burned, and now the Final Judgment coming out. We're going to have a 3rd Strategist Ultimate coming out, but it's not going to be enough to save Woj as Juicy mows them down like fresh cut grass. Isaac getting in there with a nice little 2-piece of his own, and Kanga overcome a 5 ultimate advantage for JFT, burn through all 3 Strategist Ultimates, and they're going to get a stagger onto Peter for their money. That is value, 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 baby.
2 for 2 in Strategist Ultimate, and then Joji comes in with the uppercut to knock out JFT. My word, JFT just cannot find a foothold so far. Kanga already speedrunning towards that second checkpoint. Here comes the Eye of Agamotto on 2-4, and the Maelstrom just pops them like a weasel. Everyone on Kanga fall. JFT finally stabilized. We're seeing multi-KO after multi-KO. 3 fights in a row now.
I mean, it did take a little bit of setup for Revzy's Penta. Whoosh did it raw, all by himself. Just that Eye of Agamotto hitting onto everybody. The Maelstrom pop, and then all the damage coming through with the daggers of the knock. And now Kanga are, for the first time this map, going to be stalled out for the time being. But still nearly 3 minutes to get an offensive going here, and forcing Whoosh back to the rest of his team. And there's no stopping power for the side of JFT. No more ults coming online, and no real way to slow this one down.
Combo.
Yep, they got it again.
Kraken impact. No one on JFT can respond. If Isaac is able to nail that strangling prison onto multiple members of JFT, Kanga will for sure get that second checkpoint. Woj gets caught, but everyone is able to reset. Kanga needs to find it. Yeah, Region Domain invested. Joji's going to make the first move. Slippery does have the Invisible Boundary this time around, so if Kanga do want to make the move, they're going to have to find a way around that Invisible Boundary, but for now, it looks like they're just going to concede this fight.
Yeah, but that's Final Judgment coming through. Joji able to give JFT the bailout that they needed. You're talking about that wombo combo. The Region Domain from Winter was already forced out. Even that wasn't enough to save them last time around, but that would have been their only wing and prayer to be able to survive that. Now maybe, like you say, the Invisible Boundary can do it, but Kanga gonna take another crack at this one. They're mounting up to a 6 ultimate offensive, so even if they manage to live through that wombo combo, there's still so many more mines they're gonna have to navigate from here on out. Tiny going on in, trying to build up to that rampage. Wo's trying to keep him at the door, and there's going to be a Final Judgment coming up from Juicy. He managed to get so much value last time around. Slippery going to throw up the veil, but even through it falls. Juicy just pops him with that Final Judgment, and Revzy is good for a double as well. And with just those 2 ultimates, a Cosmic Yarn Amplifier and a Final Judgment, JFT shunted from the point, and even a late stagger onto Winter. That's disgusting, Revzy.
And Kanga, quick as you like it, although a little bit of a resistance from JFT, will be able to secure that second checkpoint. And with Kanga being able to identify where Slippery could have been, Isaac was able to throw that strangling prison down and was able to help Juicy pinpoint where that Invisible Woman popped the ultimate. And Juicy just had to fire in that general direction, and surely the damage wasn't enough to take him down. But Kanga, with all these resets, are looking to keep this pain train going, as JFT will lose out on 1.
Carbon Crush gonna slow down Revzy. No more Penta KOs coming through for you, but Isaac, even without it, just goes on in, takes down Joji with 1 swift shot there, and a support bomb to take down Peter, and there's the front line of JFT already dispatched, and with 2 minutes in the time bank, Kanga, I mean, they only, I think, have 1 person pushing the cart right now, and the rest are holding the door, stopping JFT from even getting a contest going.
Revzy quickly swapping over from the Bucky onto the Moon Knight now, so they want to get this wombo combo going, and if Revsy is able to consistently put out the DPS, means that Isaac and Revsy could easily get their ultimates online at the exact same time. Peter's looking to do the exact same. Joji pops the final judgment, so that's going to give space for JFT to walk forward.
Kanga just walk away from it though. Like, that's an ultimate, like, you can't have a zoning final judgment and through the teleporter, Kanga just come into the back door. JFT never saw it coming. It's gonna be a silent seduction, but it's not gonna be enough to lock them down. There's gonna be an invisible boundary mirrored on both sides, and that's gonna be enough to keep Kanga in the fight, and they are bringing the fight right to him. Wosh tries to put a stop to it with that Eye of Agamotto. Slippery is there with a little bit of damage, trying his best to keep Wosh alive, but a sliver of HP does bring the Sorcerer Supreme. The Doctor back to life, gets caught with the Strangling Prison, yeeted on in there, but there's another invisible boundary. Huge play coming out from Slippery, and JFT, despite a surprise attack from Kanga, are able to hold on.
But now with Sector with the CYA, JFT have nothing. The Strangling Prison from Isaac might have been the winning factor, forcing out Slippery on that invisible boundary. OP goes down. Joji and Wosh will be seeing that same fate. Hand the Khonshu even covering the mission area, but it's not gonna matter. JFT could not answer Kanga. Off some offensive ultimates, were able to shut down JFT's defense.
39 seconds in the time bank. That's still not a lot, though, because it did feel like Kanga were setting a blistering pace through points A and B. JFT able to burn that down with a couple of fights, and that's how quickly that time bank can bleed out for Arako. But nevertheless, Kanga ensure that they get extra innings, and man, they just came with a comp that just comes right at you. Like, there's nothing fancy about it. No power windows, nothing. It's just full raw damage. Juicy on that Punisher, Revsy on the Bucky, later on to the Moon Knight. It's so front-loaded that, like, even OP on that Emma Frost with the shielding, with the diamond form, and even with all the healing Slippery was putting out, whether it was on the Invis or the Luna, it just was never enough.
And it just felt like that entire round, Kanga always made the first move, and every time we're able to capitalize into so much value. JFT played very reactively for the most part. Every single time they tried to play reactive, they still got shut down. Like, you can call back, right? When the invisible boundaries were used to try to react to Isaac's Strangling Prison, it still got nothing for JFT. Kanga were able to capitalize, and now with JFT on the attacking side, they're gonna have to match what Kanga did, but with Kanga being this coherent as a team, it is scary for JFT to try to match.
Oh, it looks like they're going to, they are going to try and match it. They make a good choice of words, because Peter coming out with that Punisher, even completely foregoing the Phoenix, that they got one-sided this time around on a map that should favor Phoenix, especially this part of it, but they feel the full force of Juicy's Punisher, and they're like, all right, well, we can't let this be unanswered. Revsy, with that Loki coming out on the other side, also just has free reign, like permanent on uptime. So much ult charge being granted, and even through it, just able to find Slippery in the neutral, and more are going to fall without that healing, and I think this is going to be an easy fight win for Kanga.
Yep, and with that stagger onto Slippery means that his ultimate is going to be delayed for a little bit. You're not able to stack up that ult charge quite as reliably when you're waiting to be respawned, as Revsy just puts down so much of that damage, and you talked about it a little bit, right? Because JFT are running this Loki, means that Revsy can just get so much value with this Moon Knight, and with Isaac getting closer and closer to that Strangling Prison, Revsy is so ready to land the Hand of Khonshu right on top.
I mean, Revsy has just been kind of like on a lawn chair sipping Mai Tais this whole time. Juicy, I think, maybe getting that might be a DC coming through. Yeah, match pause. I mean, Peter is going to take full advantage of that one as the CYA comes out for Kanga. Before this pause does end up coming into effect, we do have to kind of play out some of this fight, but as the, Hand of Khonshu did come out from Revsy, there was a wombo combo, so even missing out on Juicy with the DC there, Kanga still, I think, able to get that fight win, even 5v6.
Yeah, I mean, JFT, they do have another option in the likes of Winter with the Loki copy, but Rez can easily match what Winter is probably going to do. It's going to be up to OP with the Psionic Seduction, maybe even Wosh with the Strangling Prison, but with both Peter and Joji gone, means that there's just not going to be much follow-up on the side of JFT. They're going to have to wait for a different opportunity, and I think as it stands right now, Kanga do have a slight upper hand here, because Tinny could easily
I wouldn't even call it slight. I wouldn't even call it slight. Like, it is a very firm upper hand.
Yeah.
Like, Well, you're able to take out these trades on the attacking side and ensure like the attacker spawn is right there, but the longer you deny that car progress, the longer it takes for it even to get to the point where the ball is going to be in your court just by default. Like, as you round that second and third corner on Araco, like, it starts to tip more in Kanga's favor when it comes to the spawn. So it's so much, it's so hard to overcome that when you don't have the time bank on your side. So every single man that falls, every second that passes is another feather in Kanga's cap as they look to try and get a full hold here. And they're even going to come into this next fight with ultimates. Invisible Boundary was invested by Slippery, you know, to try and save from that hand of Conchu that came through. Wasn't enough to save Peter, wasn't enough to save Joji. Rezster has it on the other side, so even if, like, JFT, like, no matter what they come out with, Kanga are going to have a leg up, and I worry, like, I weep for JFT. Like, they have already been forced off of their game plans. I think we're going to be going back into the fight here very shortly, as we do, in fact, have Juicy back in the lobby, but not in the fight, as his corporeal form did perish and get forced back to spawn. But JFT going to show a little bit of respect, disengage for the time being, and maybe we'll have a gentleman's agreement. Let everybody get back to a nice 6v6, and then we'll clash yet again. But Wosh taking an aggressive angle, looking for an opportunity, maybe try to go for a three-pointer on his Steph Curry flow with that strangling prism. We'll see if he goes for it. Winter, regen domain force very early, and oh, Revzy is like, oh, a kid in a candy store once again.
Yeah, but there's so many different options for JFT. That's one of them. Peter with the final judgment, sped up by Joji with the Soul Resurgence, already able to laser down Juicy, who looked to try to match that final judgment. And Peter will only find one with two ultimates on the side of JFT, but thankfully JFT do have options here. Winter steals away Sector CYA, and it's going to give JFT so much damage amplification, and that might be JFT cruising on through that first checkpoint. Everyone on Kanga, however, are still fighting, kicking and screaming, and making the hold down.
Rester, Juicy. They've got a bit of a crossfire here. Juicy wants to go in close quarters with the shotty and will take down Winter. Even gets the angle for OP. Kanga will put their foot down and deny the cap from coming through. I think that was less than a meter away.
Yeah, it was so close, but JFT now having 0 ultimates at the ready means that they're going to have to navigate all of this space to get back to the mission area with 1 minute left on the clock. Kanga need to play aggressively here. They need to make sure that JFT gets shut down before they're even able to create themselves the space that they need to, at the very least, enable themselves to navigate more and more of the map, find more angles of an opportunity, and they're already clumped up in this small little room. This could be lethal if Kanga are able to land this Group Night Wombo combo.
Yeah, only 35 seconds left, and Invisible Boundary, that's not going to be enough to save you. Like, it might if there's a little bit of discord between that combo coming out, but if it is not pixel perfect, and even if it is, I mean, like, that's your wing, that's your prayer. There's no other ults coming online anytime soon. Dance the Butterfly, maybe if you can build up to it, but there's the angle. Invisible Boundary, hand to Khonshu right through it. There is your high five. Joji never saw it coming. It's only going to find one, and that's still going to have to be close enough to a win for JFT, but they don't have a plan B. That was their only ult. They have to try and build up to something before something even more sinister comes in. There's a CYA coming through. Rezster in the neutral just finds Woj, and Isaac going in, making a meal out of this entire defensive here. Joji back into the fight, does find the shotgun shot onto Juicy, will take him down, but it'll be rezzed right back up, and Kanga starting to come up to ults. JFT have none. They have no bodies left in the fight. Juicy coming through with a double, and Kanga will take it 2-0. Map number 3 will be JFT's pick, but that felt like their best shot, and they airballed it.
All right, Kanga. Putting themselves at a 2-0 scenario, putting themselves at match point over JFT. Keep in mind, this is an elimination match, so whoever loses out in this best of 5 series, your run to a chance at Pacific playoffs is over. And Kanga, I gotta give props to them. I think one of my biggest criticisms when they played against the Chiefs yesterday was they used so much of their resources too quickly. And this time around on Araco, they were able to space it out so much better. They had the wombo combos down, but it just felt like 1 or 2 players wanted to get in on the action and press their ultimates as well. And with so many of that resource gone, Kanga just could not extend any more fights. But JFT this time around just could not get a foothold, especially during that attack side on their own, because Kanga were able to just space out their resources perfectly every single time of the way.
You saw the scoreboard. You saw the 18 final hits for Revzy off of 30 and 4 KD. You saw, the most final hits on the side of JFT was 6. Wosh being one of those off of 5 piece from the Eye of Agamotto, and that was basically the only time that JFT felt like they were even in this map. That and when Juicy literally disconnected. The rest of it was just KNG running away with it. You know, they played their fights to perfection. All these combos coming out with the Final Judgments, the CYAs, the Hands of Khonshu's, the Strangling Prisons, everything was coming in clutch. They were playing all the right notes all throughout and looking pretty dominant. And again, like we talked about, you know, who is going to be the one to narrow the gap between Chiefs and the rest of the field? KNG seemed to be at the forefront of that and kind of passed the eye test, but still fell 2-0 to them last time around. Maybe there's a rematch in their future. They are one map away from claiming a full 3-0 victory up against JFT. And I mean, if you're JFT, it's going to have to be Reverse Sweep City. You get one more map pick, and the rest is going to be KNG's domain. That is a scary sight to behold. But it is one that you are not going to want to miss. And we're going to cut to a quick break, and we will be right back with map number 3 on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
Widow standing by. Another one bites the dust.
Do me a favor. Don't tell Alicia I was here. Oh, that looks like it hurt.
If only Sarah were here to witness me in glorious combat. You would not last a second in heaven.
Make way for King Namor. Namor does not lose.
Hell bends to my will. Another soul to join my legions.
Frink Castle, reporting for duty. Justice, pure and simple.
Well, we may not have gotten any Dino Dunks this time around on Arakko. Plenty of old school classics back in play. Some Groot Knight on the battlefield. And Dan, you know, obviously Revzy, the hero there for KNG and driving so much of this team forward. But Isaac on that Groot, absolute insane timing on those ults.
Every time KNG went for the aggressive move, they were able to nail it perfectly and efficiently. Because JFT, they had ways to counter it, although it was so close to being up and ready. But KNG were just able to get the aggressive move every single time, and were able to get maximum value.
I think the more telling thing, too, is that was A, JFT's map pick, and B, they had a game plan coming into it, try to snipe the Phoenix away from the side of KNG, take it one-sided for themselves, and they ended up having to abandon that strategy. So they came into this with a game plan, KNG completely shattered it, and there wasn't a plan B.
Yeah, and you could really see that laid out from the very beginning. In the draft phase, I felt like JFT walked away with so many resources, so much at their disposal, but KNG, absolutely insane team play from this squad here, clearly hungry to keep the lower bracket run alive for them. But yeah, I mean, clearly Revzy, you know, driving this team forward. But yeah, I like this team play from this team. Of course, they are in lockstep with one another. And you know, at the beginning of this series, we kind of talked about, you know, maybe there's kind of a cloud hanging over KNG. They don't have a dedicated Black Cat player, but so far it feels like that has not held them back at all.
Exactly, and the one downside of not having a good Black Cat player is other teams don't have to invest their ban onto the Black Cat, so that not only is it putting them at a disadvantage in-game, but it's also right before they load into the game, right? That ban is going to be used on something more useful other than the Black Cat, and with KNG getting a little bit more limited in terms of what they want to go for, means that they need to find different adjustments, and so far they're doing just that. KNG have been using the Winter Soldier very well, but you gotta give props to Revzy in this entire series, in particular on the Phoenix, on the Moon Knight as well, just popping heads left, right, and center.
Yeah, I mean, not for nothing from JFT's side either. You know, we saw Wosh on the Doctor Strange there, single-handedly riding the ship for that team there and doing everything they could to try and get it over the finish line. But it is now KNG standing on match point, up 2 maps already. We are headed to Central Park for the 3rd one. And CB, this is JFT's territory again, but as we've seen, it doesn't seem like KNG is too bothered by playing by their rules.
Yeah, like, it didn't really matter to them too much on Hell's Heaven. You know, I gotta imagine, like, with a map like Central Park, you're gonna be, again, trying to go back to that same well, try to get Joji on that Black Cat and try and play for the flank routes that maps, or points A and B both kind of unlock for characters like the Black Cat or the Daredevil, but it doesn't really seem to matter if KNG can get Revzy on the Phoenix. The map doesn't matter because Phoenix is just that versatile. You can play her basically everywhere as long as you click heads. The rest is just nothing. Like, the rest doesn't matter. You have to try and find a way to shut Revzy down, whether it's on the, you know, on the good old-fashioned hit scan characters or the more brawly ones like the Punisher or the Bucky, or whether it is the more long-range hit scans like the Phoenix. Either way, you can't just let him have that for free, and you also can't just let him check Joji every time he tries to get anything done.
Right, and it's clear that the draft phase alone is not going to be enough to stop Revzy. We've seen him on the Phoenix, the Moon Knight, the Bucky. Big plays on all 3 of those heroes so far in just 2 maps. So, I mean, clearly a player with a deep hero pool. We saw the same thing in the preseason as well. I had my eyes on him a lot in those first weeks of this season of Ignite, and now delivering even more here, especially when it counts. So that's kind of the question here. What can JFT do in what feels like the 11th hour for them?
I'm a little worried for JFT because you could tell that their game plan was, at the very least, have Joji get access to the Black Cat and take over the entire lobby. And now, so far, even though JFT get the Black Cat, it hasn't worked out. KNG even banded away in Araco, and it just felt like JFT wanted to go for these sort of proactive plays, and when they did, they only got like 1, maybe 2 picks. And that's not what you want to see when you have that wombo combo potential.
Yeah, I mean, really, you know, we're almost ready to get this thing underway. CB, you know, what do we do here? What do we change for JFT? What needs to be the game plan coming into map 3 here?
I mean, well, just like I predicted all along, KNG has been in the driver's seat nonstop, you know, completely unstoppable, and I think it comes down to execution. You know, regardless of what the game plan is, KNG are just executing on it better, and that's basically, like, that's it. Like, JFT need to be able to execute on their game plans. They need to be able to stick the landing. Whether it's the Black Cat, whether it's sniping the Phoenix away, doesn't matter. You have to stick to the plan, and you have to execute it. They can't just, you know, do what they did on Araco and abandon it and try and mirror what KNG's coming out here with, because KNG's practiced that, and they look very well practiced on it, so you are not going to catch up in, what, 4 minutes? Like, that's not enough time.
No, definitely not, and time quickly running out for JFT here. KNG on match point, up 2 maps to nothing. Life bars blinking red for them here. Need a new game plan to try and take them down. Dan, CB, I'm going to hand it over to you. Best of luck to both of these teams in map 3.
Oh boy, here we go. So far, nothing too different. Gambit going to be taken away from both sides. KNG will secure themselves the Devil Dinosaur for Tinny as JFT. Now the eyes are on them. Do they use their first save on the Black Cat like they did in map 1, or did they go for something else like the Phoenix in map number 2? Oh
no, they're going to mirror the Devil Dino.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess that's another way that you can look at it here. So, okay, and maybe that does kind of give KNG that Sophie's choice. You know, they're going to go for the Black Cat. Probably next ban going to be the Mantis, and does that mean they're going to be able to get the Phoenix through, or are they going to try and, like, you know, maybe also try and go for a ban onto the Daredevil? They're hovering a Phoenix ban. I don't know. It is a bit of a curveball from JFT. They haven't shown themselves to go for the Devil Dino all too often, and when they do, it hasn't always paid off the best for them, but, you know, they didn't look bad on it. It's just, again, like, they need to get the execution.
Yep, it really just feels like JFT are a little bit disjointed. Every time JFT won out a fight, it was usually just one player doing the hero move. Really, it's just Wosh with the Eye of Agamotto back on Araco. That was one of the bigger moments, but it was really just him. The rest of JFT kind of just followed his lead. They weren't like comboing together like, hey, you have this ult, I have this ult, why don't we use it together? But now, as we head deeper into the ban draft, JFT will secure the one side Rocket Raccoon, and it's been one of those picks that we don't really talk about, but has been so important for both teams, quite frankly.
It's gonna be that one-sided Phoenix coming through for Kanga again. So I think another thing that JFT are gonna have to do, especially on the defensive side, is basically do what Kanga did and close the distance to where it gets a little bit more uncomfortable for that Phoenix, and maybe it gets a little bit harder to hit some of those high-pressure shots when you know your life is on the line. If you whiff even one, it might be all over. I kind of want to see Joji pick up the Daredevil here, because I think Central Park is just too strong to not play either the Black Cat or the Daredevil, and even if you're going to try and go for the Devil Dino, something a little bit more brawl favored, I think Daredevil can still thrive in that kind of environment. That's one tool that they're not currently flashing on the defensive side, but one that I think might be a good one.
And JFT have a lot of tools at their disposal, right? They're not looking to opt towards the dive potential of their team composition, most notably.
But it's like the illusion of choice. Like, you have all these options. Like, how do you know what's the right one?
And it seems like JFT have decided just overwhelm Kanga with as much damage as possible. Joji on the Moon Knight, Peter on the Punisher, as OP and Wosh going to be that front line with the Devil Dinosaur and the Groot respectively. So there is a different combo potential for JFT. Joji and Wosh could easily team up together with the Groot Knight Wombo combo. Peter and Slippery can team up with the Final Judgment and the CYA. So JFT, they have all these combos at their disposal, but one of those biggest criticisms that we had was that execution. Every time they went for those plays, they didn't get the KOs that they wanted. And now Kanga rolling out here. How does Kanga shut down JFT before those ultimates come up?
We'll have to see. It is JFT's last stand in this tournament, their last map pick of the series, potentially of the entire tournament. They need to stick the landing here and now, and they're taking a page out of Kanga's playbook with this Punisher look, and with the Moon Knight as well. It is just full-on Brawl City. Groot and Devil Dino on the defensive here, but it's going to be a shooting gallery for Juicy, basically. A good grab there from Tinny, taking down OP. He just gets bursted down, and that is already going to be the BRB bursted, and so much space given is now Kanga are going to claim this real estate, force JFT back, start taking up that percentage. JFT need to get themselves back on the point, but they go right back in to Tinny's jaws. He procs the bleeds, get all that damage over time. A good wall to split off the rest of the team, force Tinny to come back, break that wall, get back to the team, deny that first tick from coming through. But JFT needs some finality. They need to find a fatality, but it's only going to be their own. They get three falling one after the other as Rezter coming in with a cleanup onto Winter and another for Joji, and there's no time. Wosh making the swap over onto the Doctor Strange, but it's too little, too late. 5:21 in the time bank, and the Ruse will stake their claim. Oh my god, what a freeze!
Oh my god, Rezter. Putting on a show. That was just insult to injury at that point, because the fight was already won. Yeah, poor Slippery getting caught out, ice cold. Ice in his veins is Rezter, as the rest of Kanga just push on forward here, because JFT, they wanted to bunker down, but it got to a point where JFT's front line, if they wanted to walk up forward, there's going to be an Ebba Frost Shield blocking the heals from JFT, so JFT had to play that a little more carefully, and now as they try to defend the push coming in from Kanga, they are blistering their way through. They're already halfway towards the second one.
But as you say, like, they have to play it carefully. They're playing so scared right now. There's gonna be that CYA coming out with that Final Judgment, trying to burst Kanga down, but their wills are ironclad, or should I say diamond-clad, as Isaac able to escape with the diamond form. 27 HP. Revsy taken to the skies, and Song Inferno as Isaac gets bursted down by OP. Finally, JFT get a W in their column. OP gonna find another one, cleaning up Revsy as he comes back down to earth, and Kanga will, at least for the time being, be shunted from this point, but JFT need to stake their claim, and they need to stand their ground.
That's one Wombo combo down. They were able to get 2 eliminations, and that was enough for Kanga to reset. But with JFT having a second wave of Wombo combo, the Groot into the Kraken impact, Kanga are going to have to make some proactive moves here to try to shut down this Wombo combo. Tinny goes in with the Rampage. Winter pops the Invisible Boundary in response, but with Kanga having ultimate still, JFT need to go for something right here, right now.
Final Judgment coming down to burn. Whoa, she got that Strangling Prison onto the backline, but Juicy turns around and says, stay away from my backline. My supports will not be falling today. A 3-piece off the Final Judgment, and Kanga will continue this march.
JFT channeling the portal yet again. I think this time around they will be able to contest for one more fight. JFT, they have options. OP could come in with the Rampage, but the portal is being blocked by Rod the Tusker.
Well, I mean, the cart can't move if the portal is blocking it. Bro is stuck in a time paradox right now, but Sector coming through and taking it with a double, and Isaac just going right through the portal, taking the fight straight to JFT's front door, and wouldn't you know it, that's right where the cart is going as they breeze right on through point B, and a cheeky little triple there for Isaac as the exclamation point, and 4:15 in the time bank. KNG are setting they're looking to set a record here.
And JFT used both ultimates that they had at that fight. Joji, Kraken Impact, got no value. OP tried to stampede his way in, but the portal was a little too misplaced for JFT to get the value that they wanted. KNG even holding close so that JFT, if they want to rely on those environmental KOs, it's going to be so hard. Great leap, like you said, onto Tinny. So JFT will have that man advantage.
Good little thread the needle shot there from Peter onto Revsy, and nice little double as well. And I mean, KNG, they get scouted out off of that leap again onto Tinny, and like they lose any ability to hold the space, and Peter is making a meal out of all of this one. You can see the other 3 members of that KNG formation off to the left-hand side. Silhouettes through there, and as Tinny gets back with the rest of the squad. JFT are going to concede a little bit of that space, let KNG come back in, but that combo is about to come online. CYA and Peter with that final judgment could potentially just burst Tinny down. That's what you're going to be looking for. Also can burst Revsy down if he tries to use that Endsong Inferno to shut down the CYA, but the Tainted Voltage from Joji, there's the combo coming out. Peter is just taking the final judgment straight to KNG like a weed whacker. Will find 2, can't quite get the 3rd as Rester is going to get it alive, but JFT are not done. They are going to march again right into KNG spawn door. If you want a brawl, we are going to take the brawl to you. A shotgun shot for Peter and another for Rester, and that is it. The fight over JFT. It's still 240 for KNG.
Good stagger coming in from JFT. They realized that they used that wombo combo, and they had to get as much of a stagger going as possible. Peter and Slippery, they had that wombo combo. They use it to perfection. But KNG, they're okay with that, right? They're able to just hold on back, get those ultimates ready to go, because in this next engagement, KNG are going to have all 6 ultimates. JFT are only going to have half the amount coming in here.
JFT needs to try and find something. That Devil Beast Rampage to stop from getting Dino dunked, and OP gonna get flipped, get rotated, nerd, the Carbon Crush. OP's gonna be able to live with that invisible boundary coming through from Windsor, but Peter is so far outside of it that all the damage comes through from the final judgment. He's not gonna be safe from it. Peter does fall courtesy of Sector, but it's traded out for Juicy, so both Punishers meeting a divine punishment of their own. Joji with a nice little Trooper's Fist, taking Sector outside of the invisible boundary, bursting him down and dropping the Veil, and now the pain is coming. Tinny gonna shut down Joji, but it's looking like JFT have found exactly what they need to stand their ground for one more fight.
Oh my god, KNG had 6 going into that fight, and they come out empty-handed. JFT were able to utilize whatever ultimates that they had to, at the very least, force KNG away, and with 1:20 left on the clock, it's going to get a little dire for KNG if they want to get a full push going, because JFT, they've got that next rotation of CYA Final Judgment ready to go.
And they are going to use it. Sonic Seduction to try and shut them down, but I don't believe you can shut down the Final Judgment that way. You can only hope to burst them down with the damage, but it's just not coming through. They burst down Tinny, and KNG have no choice but to evacuate the dance floor, but Peter is not done, marking it with blood. Revsy spilled, and that is going to be 2 down for KNG and another retreat. 50 seconds left, and KNG are running out of steam, running out of options, and they are getting bursted down, staggered out. Isaac and Rester die late, so 43 seconds now, and it's going to be under 40 before they're able to even get out of the spawn door.
Is there even time for KNG to get their ultimates ready? They need to brawl for at least a whole 20 seconds if they want any sort of ultimates ready to go.
Kraken
As
Impact.
JFT, yeah, Kraken Impact going to be available. Loesch also matching that rate as well. So they have that wombo combo down. Winter even has access to the invisible boundary. KNG need to get a move on here. 17 seconds going into final fight territory. How fast can KNG get their ultimates online?
Well, it's going to have to be pretty fast. Sector is coming up onto this invisible boundary to match Winters, and you are going to need that because of that Kraken Impact that's going to be coming through from Joji. Lickety split. What is the answer here for KNG? They're trying to build up, and JFT are giving them a little bit more time to brawl out. There's going to be that Strangling Prison coming out. Kraken Impact on top of it, but the veil will be lifted for both sides. Devil Beast Rampage now for Tinny, stomping, throwing a temper tantrum, and Wosh is going to fall as a result. Final Judgment now coming out. Juicy trying to be the executioner that they need right now for Kanga to find the finish, and they take down Winter and turns around 180 degrees, puts OP 6 feet under, a triple for Juicy. JFT will still have an opportunity to go for a recontest here. There's still a little bit of daylight between the cart and the finishing blow, but Juicy wants to try and shut it down, wants to try and hunt down Peter. Isaac catches Woes trying to go for the contest. The cart inches closer and closer, and Kanga do find the full cap. No time left in the time bank, but nevertheless, they get it done.
They were able to get the ultimates right before overtime lit up. My goodness, Kanga, you are playing on thin ice, but somehow they are skating right on top of it. JFT just could not respond the amount of aggression that Kanga had. Because keep in mind, we saw this in map number 2, right? Kanga make the aggressive move. They are always so proactive. JFT, they try to do the same thing, but we talked about it, right? JFT, every time they try to go for these kinds of plays, they don't really get as much value as Kanga do.
They get punished whenever they try to make a play, and then they get scared, and then they give up ground.
Exactly.
And that's how Kanga are able to just blitzkrieg through points A and B. But point C, where they actually have that cushion of the spawn advantage and that high ground advantage of the top, up at the top of the stairs, they're able to leverage that and convert that into nearly a full hold, but Kanga's still complete and set themselves up with a win con. JFT, whether it's as fast as Kanga did it or whether it's slow and steady, they have to go for full complete here. Like, it's that or they're gone.
And JFT on the attacking side. What is their win condition? Eyes are on Slippery right now on this Rocket Raccoon. Every time Kanga utilized the Rocket Raccoon on their attacking side, Sector was the one running the Rocket Raccoon in those kinds of maps. But with Sector not having access to the Rocket Raccoon, they're not going to be able to match what JFT are going here. Slippery surely will have the first cast of the CYA because of that buff that Rocket Raccoon got to his ultimate.
Hard to see. 20%. Yeah, that's like, it's coming up real fast. Like, you're only gonna be waiting for something to combo it. Like, Slippery's gonna already be there, be like, come on, bro, catch up. Already a third of the way there, and Juicy doing a fair bit on the other side with that Bucky. So a lot of damage coming through JFT's way, and all that healing, I guess, got to come from somewhere. The front line of JFT trying to march forward, set the line of scrimmage further and further, force Kanga to play further back, but Isaac wants to do no such thing, wants to try and hold that corner, make it so JFT can't just walk right in. OP still looking for an opening here, waiting for a member of Kanga to flinch, make a mistake. Yeah, Slippery does have ult, but what do you combo it with? I guess you don't need a combo. You're just going to use that as the go button, and they're going to burst down Isaac, and no rocket on the other side means no res, means no second chances, means Joji just gets to have a field day, a nice little two-piece, and is looking for the third, trying to get down the other Bucky. Hey, Juicy, what are you doing? Come on back down there and fight me like a man.
I'm down. We don't bite. Juicy's trying to contest, but he's not going to find that angle. Portal comes too little too late from Isaac. So JFT off of Slippery, being that main guy with the win condition. That's the power of the rocket buff here in Season 8.0, ladies and gentlemen. There's a reason why JFT wanted to secure this Rocket Raccoon one-sided. And there you go. JFT will quickly unlock the first checkpoint. Now moving their way towards the second. Kanga will have ultimates this time around, but nothing really defensive. Rester only at 50% towards that Fate of Both Worlds.
But the damage that came through from that CYA. Oh, a good kidnap there from OP, taking down Isaac, and there goes your anchor. Kanga are going to have to backtrack here. Rester with a nice freeze onto Wosh, but, well, I mean, hello? How much damage came through? I thought Wosh was going to be able to live through that. He'll be rezzed back up with the BRB, so not too much ground lost here for JFT, but we're trying so hard to save Private Tinny right now. Strangling Prison comes out. Joji with the Kraken impact down from the heavens is going to find a Penta. And that is going to be an emphatic way to win that fight. JFT hit the wombo combo, and Kanga hit the deck.
Sector on the Invisible Woman tried to put out the invisible boundary, but the bad news was everyone on Kanga was not able to walk there inside in time. Woj was able to perfectly time that Strangling Prison, and then Joji just stamps all out of there. Second checkpoint unlocked for JFT. Now they're cruising, almost speed running their way to that third, and we'll see if they're able to get themselves over the line and force overtime here.
Now, can they do what Kanga did, or can they do what Kanga couldn't and finish with time? Revzy says no, gonna take down Winter and looking to do the same to Wosh, and with a lot less healing, it's gonna be a lot harder for Wosh to stabilize, but a little bit of reconstruction happening to Dracula's castle in real time will be exactly the cover that Wosh needs to get back to safety, but nevertheless, Kanga are going to stand their ground. A nice freeze onto Wosh there again. I mean, this group, every time he tries to push up, Rezzer is just checking him with the absolute zeros. Like, I didn't know you could just freeze wood like that, but Juicy going to freeze Winter in his place and put him in his place in the dirt, and that's going to be Kanga holding their ground here, and this is starting to look a little bit familiar, Dan.
This is big for Kanga, right? Not even using ultimates to win out that fight. Great positioning as well from Kanga. Staying away from the stairs because they know that the lethality of that environmental KO is very much in JFT's favor. A good bionic hook or a good bite from OP could mean the difference in these fights. But here we go, close quarters combat.
They shut down the final judgment. They tried to go for the combination. Slippery popped it. The CYA and the final judgment, but the Devil Beast Rampage from Tinny just shuts him down. Revzy just goes on in, clicking heads as is his wont. Isaac taking the fight straight to Wosh and Joji, and that is a great, I mean, they just shut down one of the most powerful combos in JFT's arsenal wholesale.
And that's really been one of those combos that JFT have been relying on. The second one being Joji and Wosh with the Strangling Prison into the Kraken Impact. We talk about this time and time again, but JFT, those are their two main win conditions, and Kanga have been navigating around it quite well. The only times that these fights haven't worked out is because JFT were just able to put down the pressure, make those proactive plays. And with Kanga, now it's their turn with the final judgment. Are they able to get value? No, Winter is able to go in with the fate of both worlds, so Kanga are going to have to find a different way in.
Revzy has the God angle right now, but he's just not finding the shots. JFT are trying to make it difficult for him using the natural cover of the map. OP getting bursted down, though. So much damage. Revzy just can't seem to find that final blow, and OP now going to pop the Devil Beast Rampage, force Kanga back, get some of that bleed action going, and get around this first corner. There's going to be that Fate of Both Worlds coming in late. A little bit of extra healing and some damage amp for Revzy, and it's coming on through as the sparks stack up, and everybody starts popping, but again, no elims. It's a push, it's a pull, it's an ebb, it's a flow. JFT, now it is their turn to take a rotation here. Joji has that Kraken Impact. Wosh, I think, tried to yeet in that Strangling Prison, but it didn't land, so we're not going to see that combo. And Revzy, once again, up on high. Burst Joji down. Endsong Inferno won't destroy the CYA, though. Peter with the shotgun shots, damage amped. Revzy finally going to break it, but is it too little too late as Joji shut down in midair like a shooting star? Revzy brings him crashing right back down to earth. Wosh, though, trades him down for Sector. JFT are really getting down into the nitty-gritty of this one. A nice little double for Wosh. This will be a little bit of cart progress, but 2 minutes still in the time bank, and we're only just now starting to inch up the stairs of death.
Oh boy, Kanga, what else do you have in ya? Tinny has the Rampage coming up. Juicy with the final judgment, but it's going to be matched with Peter with the final judgment of his own. And with the 1v1 happening between the side room, Revzy will lose out because Joji goes for the more aggressive move. Juicy and Peter both popping their gunshots. It's bullet hell here right in front of Dracula's throne. Everyone goes down. JFT have the upper hand. Half of Kanga are gone. They're just trying to stall. No one is home. JFT complete the push, and we're going to overtime.
It's because of Joji making the swap onto that Daredevil. That was the difference maker. He was able to scout out Revzy, shut that one down, and while both of the Punishers popped their final judgments, Joji went in deep, and there was no turn. Like Juicy couldn't turn around to try and deal with him because he would have lost the duel to Peter, so Joji just gets to have Rezter for free. Just takes down the back line, cuts off that primary artery, no healing for Kanga, and the dominoes all fall as they will. JFT may have fallen to Kanga on their attack, but then JFT take a crack at it, and they do it better.
Here's the thing, though. It's overtime now. JFT have a lot more time in the bank compared to Kanga. Kanga need to play fast here. Slippery on the one-sided Rocket Raccoon could be the finisher if Kanga aren't able to get the push that they want, because, quite frankly, 2 minutes 38 compared to 1 minute, JFT have all of the upper hand here.
I think it's not even it's not even the CYA, it's also the BRB that you have to worry about.
Too, yeah.
Like Juicy's gonna be on the Daredevil, he might be able to scout it out, but I mean, if you don't do that and you give up a pick, it doesn't matter. You got to do it twice.
And how does Kanga play this out. They're looking to experiment with different compositions, but right now the name of the game for Kanga is play very fast. You need those eliminations come in very, very fast, or else JFT, once they get on the attacking side, they could easily end things with a single CYA. But right now, we have to stick to the present here. Kanga looking to go fast. Juicy on the Daredevil. Isaac on the Captain America. They need to disrupt JFT as much as possible.
Like I mentioned, Juicy is going to try and scout out that BRB on the Daredevil, but you do have to worry about Joji potentially scouting him out, and Joji has found the secret sauce. Isaac going in deep, and is going to get caught. No, it's actually Juicy that gets caught out, trying to follow up on the dives coming out. Joji, now having a field day, gets frozen up, but will have the deflect when he gets thawed right back out, and oh, he is heating up right now. A nice little double onto Rezter, and a triple as he takes down Revzy, and only 20 seconds left. Kanga opening a portal, Juicy trying to get them back on the point. Is it going to be in time? JFT have it scouted out. They are ready to meet them at the door. Joji taking to the high ground, looking to pick his target, find his man. It's Rezter. That is exactly who he wants, and he is going to burst Rezter down, and there goes the healing. Sector going to be next on the chopping block.
Heals.
Chopped clean in half. No heals left for Kanga. No lifelines left. JFT will demand another map. They will take it here. The overtime wick slowly burning away. Tinny, the only thing standing between JFT and that promised map number 4. They will take us 2-1.
I think they still have one more chance, right? JFT will have another round at their disposal. They haven't used that overtime bank just yet, so they're gonna go for it on the push, but with Kanga not having a whole lot of room, I feel like JFT just take this outright.
I recently called that JFT won the map. That felt like a winning moment. That felt like
you could be a prophet right now, because I just feel like Slippery, as soon as he gets that CYA, no one on Kanga can match it. So I feel like,
and all you need is one tick. Like once that CYA comes out, like Kanga, last time they were face down with that CYA, they just backed up. They gave up like the first tick almost for free.
And now coming in here, Slippery, we talked about this when they were on the attacking side back in round number 2. You saw how fast Slippery got that CYA, to the point where Kanga had nothing. No one was close to matching that CYA, that 40% damage amplification, as well as that overshield being so one-sided that Kanga literally could not match it. JFT could do the exact same thing. Let Slippery do all the healing and make sure that that CYA comes up way before anything else.
238 in the time bank, and that is more than enough time to build up to a wealth of CYAs. And either way, I mean, we're either going to a draw or we're going to a map 4 either way, whether it's a draw or a dub for JFT. But I feel like you said, like that CYA, it's a foregone conclusion. You're going to get one, if not 2 of them in that time span. And Kanga have to try and find a way to build up to it. I think the answer has been Revzy building up that Endsong Inferno and trying to use that to burst it down, but can you get the execution on that ultimate before somebody on your team falls? Good damage coming out onto OP. They might be able to get an early stagger Elim, and you can see Tinny going in, trying to get a grab, but he's going to find himself grab himself. He is in hostile territory. The healing will come through. They retreat back to his team, get topped right back up, not going extinct today, but Wosh goes in deep, got frozen up there by Rezter. Maybe they can convert that into an Elim. Going to try and burst down Joji, but now as things start to fall apart for for Kanga, they have to back up. They're giving up ground. JFT have managed to get their foot in the door. If they can get just a few more appendages in, they might be able to get this first tick.
JFT are spreading out, though, looking for opportunities to get into the back line, but Kanga are not giving it. And so far, Kanga are doing a good job, but 2 go down. This might be it.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's 4 down now for Kanga. No res is coming through. No Revzy. No nothing. JFT, just as I predicted, will take us to a map number 4, and with a scoreline of 2-1. It was a foregone conclusion, and the CYA does come through in the end, but it wasn't even needed.
I think when JFT were on the attacking side, I think they let Slippery do all the healing so that his ultimate could be up before anything else. It's almost a little bit of a callback to what Pirates did all the way back in preseason Asia. Have one of the strategists do all the healing, essentially, pump it all into the vanguards of their own team, and once that ultimate comes up, it's way before anyone else. And it felt like JFT did something similar, but thankfully it was not needed as much in overtime, because as soon as Kanga went down, JFT just walk on through. 2 quick picks meant that everyone top was over, and JFT will stay alive here in OCE.
17 final hits for Peter, 18 for Joji. That is disgusting stuff. On the first attacking side for Kanga, it felt like it was all the juicy show, right? Like all these, whether it was the Kraken impacts, the final judgments, what have you, like bro was just farming, and then JFT just simply said, we'll do you one better. In fact, we'll do you 2, 3, 4, 5 times better, and they execute Central Park. But here's my question, Dan. Can they do it again, and can they do it on Kanga's home turf? As the map pool is going to open back up, Kanga can take us wherever they please. It could be back to another domination. It could be back to another map like an Araco that was not close, and it could be another map where, you know, the Phoenix or the Punisher, like, you know, you might not be able to get the better of that exchange. It might open up a little bit more, and that Phoenix pick might end up paying off a little bit more for the side of Kanga Esports. So, like, I don't know, like, Dan, what do you think? Do you think they have it in them to do it again?
It's going to be hard to say, right? JFT were, at the very least, able to just barely get a slight edge over Kanga in terms of those ultimate usages, right? Being able to combo them and get at least a little more value this time around compared to map number 2. It just felt like JFT looked for those plays, but they just could not translate it into the eliminations, into the value that they wanted. But Kanga, they made a lot of those proactive moves, but it seemed like here in this map, JFT were able to, at the very least, equalize. But for now, we're gonna have to see if JFT can do it one more time to force that deciding map number 5. We're gonna go into a short break. We'll see what Kanga decide to choose in terms of map pick, because they have a whole catalog to choose from. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back and see Kanga's answer.
Widow standing by. Another one bites the dust.
Do me a favor. Don't tell Alicia I was here. Oh, that looks like it hurt.
If only Sarah were here to witness me in glorious combat. You would not last a second in heaven.
Make way for King Namor. Namor does not lose.
Hell bends to my will. Another soul to join my legions.
Frink Castle, reporting for duty. Justice, pure and simple.
Well, it's not over yet. In the 11th hour, as the bell tolls, JFT turn things around and they take an insane Central Park. Both sides getting their licks in, but what the heck happened here? How did JFT pull this one off?
I mean, it was just...
we both hesitated. I was like, you want to take this one?
A lot to say, a lot to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of different factors, right? I mean, the big one being JFT actually found value with their ultimate combinations. We didn't see that a whole lot in maps 1 and 2, but this time around, JFT were able to lock that in quite easily, as JFT really just strayed away from that dive style of play that they've been relying on for a lot of that OCE bracket so far. But coming in here, they finally answered our question, right? Can they rebound to a different style of play? And so far, they have done just that.
I think there was a couple of factors. You know, I do think the map pick had a lot to do with it. I think Central Park, you know, did kind of lend itself to what JFT really like what they ended up playing with. Like, I don't know if they really wanted to start off on the Punisher, if that was their game plan, but it's another map where, like I said, you don't really feel all that bad about giving up a one-sided Phoenix to Kanga. Like, that has been their bread and butter just as much as the Black Cat has been yours. So, okay, you can have it, but you're going to be taken to a map where, you know, even if you ban the Black Cat, Daredevil is going to be just as good. It took a little while for Joji to realize that start to come online, but I think once that Daredevil came out from Joji, it was pretty much over, right? Like, there was not really anything left that Kanga could do. Their backline was constantly being scouted. They couldn't play the way they wanted to. It was just like they were playing against that Black Cat again, and it's like, we banned the Black Cat. Why is she still here? Like,
Yeah, I mean, really feels like once Joji got it locked in there, peak performance on that Daredevil, and it was just the JFT show all the way up to the end of Central Park. But speaking of map picks, it is all gonna be Kanga's territory from here on out if JFT want to complete this reverse sweep. So definitely an uphill battle ahead for them, and it looks like we're gonna be headed to Krakoa, as you saw there. I feel like this is a pretty interesting map pick, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it like right before we came on like back on live, right? Interesting move coming in for Kanga. Krakoa is a very dive favored style of map, and Kanga don't really like to go for a dive style of composition, because if they do go for it, it's going to be reliant on the Daredevil, because they don't have a Black Cat player like we've been talking about.
but Dan, have you considered that Krakoa is an anagram for Arako, and Arako wasn't close, so maybe Krakoa will be an anagram for success.
Right.
Yeah, like any map that has a K, an R, an A, another K, an O, and an A in it, that's just Kanga's domain, right? Like, you know, it's not going to be close there.
But either way, what we do need to talk about is that ban draft. Black Cat going to be taken away from JFT, so if they do want to go towards that dive style of play, it's going to have to be Joji on the Daredevil instead of the Black Cat. Both sides also saving the Devil Dinosaur. A little bit of a similarity from what we saw back in map number 3, and now here in map 4, both sides taking away that Rocket Raccoon, because we saw how effective it was for JFT when it was one-sided.
Yeah, JFT went for the one-sided rocket on both Hell's Heaven and on Central Park, and then Kanga stole it on, I believe it was on Arako. And like, I think both teams have kind of realized the value that CYA gives you. How fast you're able to build up to it means that you will almost always have it for a combination, whether it's with the End Song Inferno, whether it's with the Final Judgment, Kraken Impact, doesn't matter. That damage boost is nothing to sneeze at. Losing out on the Black Cat, though, JFT will use a Protect onto the Daredevil to make sure that Joji has access to that one. I think they were like, yeah, Joji got a little bit too much done towards the latter half of Central Park, that it's going to be on Kanga's radar now, that they need to make sure that they save it.
But JFT do get the second save onto the Daredevil, so dive is available on the side of JFT. Kanga, however, would want to try to find a way to bunker down, try to self-peel, maybe try to withstand the aggression that JFT are more than likely are going to pull out again, because keep in mind, it is domination after all. It is also Krakoa, so you have a lot of portals to work with. You have a lot of different rotational plays as Kanga. How do they decide to utilize their own composition to shut this down again here on Domination? Because, I mean, we talked about it. Juicy on this Winter Soldier has been cooking.
I mean, the Winter Soldier, you're right, he has been cooking, but speaking of cooking, one other thing has managed to sneak through the ban draft for both sides. Both teams, for the first time this series, are going to have access to the Phoenix, which I do think might end up favoring JFT, regardless of how, you know, how much Revsy has been clicking heads. Now he's got to take the duel with Peter on the other side, and also could potentially find himself under pressure from Joji and Wosh, you know, on that good old-fashioned Captain America dive duelist combination, whether it's the Black Cat or whether it's the Daredevil, this time going to be the latter. It's going to make Revsy's job a lot harder.
We're going to see how Kanga try to withstand this aggressive setup that JFT are looking towards, albeit it is a little less aggressive than what we saw back in map number 1, where they went for the full dive. JFT this time around will have options if they need to rebound towards that brawl style of play, and Kanga are looking to do a very similar style of play. Sector is really one of the bigger differences here on the Jeff pick. Winter going towards the Invisible Woman. So how will both teams play out in this first fight? Both sides will have access to the information thanks to the Daredevil, so everyone knows where everyone is at all times.
Now, the key thing, like you mentioned, is going to be Sector and the survivability that the Jeffs gives you. I think Winter might have his head marked. Joji goes in, finds Sector. There goes that survivability right out the window. Joji going to get traded out, though. Slippery for Tinny. It's back and forth, but Kanga coming up a little bit behind Winter with a nice little push there, and JFT going to be able to find that first cap if they can just deal with Juicy on the point. The only thing standing between them, and JFT will fire the first shot on Carousel here on Krakoa.
All right, quick as you like it. JFT win out on the neutral. No ultimates going to influence the tide here, as Kanga will have to hit that reset button, walk their way through. It's going to be up to Isaac to try to figure out where this Daredevil is, but thankfully he does have Juicy at his side, so he'll have an easier time to try to mark down where JFT are positioned towards. And Kanga getting closer and closer to some of those ultimates. However, JFT are going to have to do the same in terms of navigating towards it. Both sides will have Endsong Inferno, but I feel like they're going to use it more as a safety measure rather than that aggressive move.
Joji doing a good job of playing bouncer, sees one of his, oh no!
Okay.
He sees both the strategists in his sights and is going to take them both down one after the other. Revzy next on the chopping block. You can right click, you can psionically detonate all the time, but the only bomb I see right here is Joji, and farewell, Juicy. A nice round of applause for your attempt, but you have been outmatched, my friend.
My fault, Peter. I was not familiar with your game. Use the Endsong Inferno to put the backline at a sliver of HP, enough for Joji to finish them off. So, great combo coming in from JFT, really. Peter goes in, chunks them down. Joji then finishes it off. Kanga, however, will have ultimates ready to go, but it's going to be matched by JFT in terms of those strategist ultimates. Isaac and Wosh also going to go band for band with the Freedom Charge eventually. But when do these triggers be pulled? When does one team make the move over the other?
Isaac trying to keep both Wosh and Joji at bay. Fate of Both Worlds going to come out from Restur. Slippery is going to get the better one coming out secondly. There is going to be a Let the Devil Out coming out very soon from the side of JFT. So Kanga are going to have to be privy to that, and it's going to come out right now. There's the invisible boundary, though, for Kanga, but Sector just gets bursted down right through it. The invisible boundary doesn't matter at all, and OP just stomping a mud hole right through Kanga. A triple KO, and 100-0. JFT stamp Kanga out on Carousel.
That was huge for JFT, shutting down Sector on the invisible boundary. JFT didn't commit their own invisible boundary, so now they're going to have access to it coming into the second round. So JFT, they complete the shutout in round number 1. They could easily do the same here in round number 2, but thankfully Kanga do have their safety net of their own. Isaac with the Freedom Charge being available for Kanga, so if Winter does commit the invisible boundary, it has to be reactive towards Isaac.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Yeah, it's gonna be, yeah, like you said, it's gonna have to be reactive towards Isaac, but like there's so many other things that you have to worry about. Just the sheer amount of damage that a Devil Beast Rampage could inflict on you. Tinny has been clutch with those in the past, especially on Hell's Heaven, and I don't know, this crack and impact from Juicy I think is gonna have a lot of heavy lifting to do. I think that's gonna be the main thing for JFT. You have to try and scout that out and shut it down. Maybe Joji is gonna have to be the one to try and win that duel out with the help of Wosh. We'll have to see, but first fight should favor Kanga, but JFT, they've got the momentum right now. They've got the wind in their sails, and Kanga are a little bit on the back foot. You know, they failed to execute on Central Park, and maybe things are starting to slip through their fingertips, and they can feel it.
JFT, I think their game plan here in this first fight is to pressure the backline. Make sure to try to force Isaac to use that Freedom Charge to help save his fellow members in the backline. And if JFT are able to expose that ultimate being used so early, it's going to be rough for Kanga to try to recover from it, but Tinny's going to go in with the Rampage to force out Winter's ult.
Joji just cuts Sector down, just walks right in and takes him down. Traded out by the Double Beast Rampage from Tinny, 1 for 1, but there is no healing now for the side of Kanga. It's going to be Restur trying to do all of it. Juicy takes to the skies with the Kraken Impact, but his health bar is so low, he's too afraid to try and go back in. He tries, but Winter cuts him short. Winter has come, and Winter is here. JFT with Winter with another one off the Force Physics will find this first cap as Peter just clicks on heads, cleans Kanga up, and stakes JFT's claim, and someone's gonna have to go back and actually find the cap. We're getting a little bit too aggro here. Guys, the point.
All right, there we go. Okay. It is crucial few seconds. being wasted away, but JFT get the first cap
They're
down.
feeling themselves. They're feeling themselves. Maybe a little too much, but they are feeling themselves, and that's important.
Yeah, you just have to cap out and just, you know, follow through their swing at Kanga. Now, Kanga, how do you navigate your way into the mission area? You don't have many ultimates to work with. JFT, like you talked about, they have the upper hand. They have the momentum. And with this dive between Roche and Joji, it's going to be so much potent.
You can't wrap around together like that. It's just too much members, too many bodies grouped up that the sparks just build up once Peter hits the shots. Rester is going to take a dive to try and reset with a team, and that is going to be a swift eviction for JFT, swiping Kanga off the face of the earth with just one shot.
No ultimates anywhere at the ready. It's really just sector on the invisible boundary, but it has to be placed very, very well. If JFT are able to force it outside of the mission area, that is a huge win for JFT. Slippery is getting closer and closer to the fate of both worlds. Peter gonna use the Ensong Inferno to again chunk down the back line, and then Joji just cleans up house. We're at 64%. JFT are effectively spawn camping at this point, as the rest of Kanga need to recover quickly, because 71% in climbing, we are so close to final fight territory.
And the ults for JFT, like, it's going to be an insurmountable wall that Kanga are going to have to try and find some way to just smash their head into over and over again until a brick comes loose. JFT, with the Freedom Charge, Bull Strategist ultimates, they can stall this one out seemingly for forever. Devil Beast Rampage is going to come out early on there from OP. Trying to burst him down is Juicy, and will do so. Invisible Boundary from Winter is too little too late, and Kanga will finally have some say in this fight. If you're JFT, I'm wondering, do you invest any further in this one, or do you just call it, chalk it, say good enough because you managed to get to 99? If Kanga can find another Elim without needing to invest a ultimate, which they will do, they're going to take down Slippery and Joji as well. Kanga will return fire here. They are not out of it just yet. And Juicy with a nice little parting shot there onto Wosh will be the punctuation mark on that fight. 99-0, but Kanga start ticking it up.
Huge recovery from Kanga. A must-win scenario as well. And also being able to save their ultimates. All they had to do was match Winter with the invisible boundary, and that's really the only ultimate that they use. JFT, however, they do have ways to fight back here. I can see Wosh going in with the Freedom Charge, and then Joji follows up with the Devil Out, because if they do that, it's going to be a lot of pressure onto Kanga. Tinny goes in with the Rampage. Rez is going to use that Fate of Both Worlds early.
The dance floor is going to be a safe haven for Kanga as they're able to take down Slippery early on. Revsy taking him down with the Ensong Inferno, and Tinny is continuing that rampage. Even as the ult expires, he's still on one. Will take down OP, establishing himself as the alpha. 40% now for Kanga, but they did use a fair bit of ultimates just to get that.
And this might bite them back, right? Kanga, the biggest criticism was using too many of those resources way too quickly. JFT quickly regrouping and going for a second engagement. Joji and Slippery could easily team up together. Devil out into the fate of both worlds, but that Devil is almost shut down. But JFT are able to wipe out half.
Kanga still trying to stabilize Rester, taking down Joji, but she needs to do so much more than that. Wosh has Sector on a sliver of HP, can't quite find the slam, but will clamp down. JFT, they were nearly out of it, but their heart still beats, and it still beats strong. They will take us to a map number 5. The reverse sweep might be on deck, Dan. We're one away.
Hey, don't do me like this, man. My predictions are on the line here. JFT, however, they're making a series out of this. My goodness, what a recovery from JFT. We talked about it, right? They needed to find something else because Kanga are so good at shutting down the Black Cat, shutting down the dive composition, and now JFT, they're coming in with this different style of play, right? They were able to utilize the brawl, the front to back style of play.
It's not even that different. It's literally they just swapped the Black Cat out for the Daredevil, and Joji is profit skyrocketing to the moon.
I mean, JFT also utilized a more aggressive style of dive. They went all in on the dive. If the dive doesn't work, you don't really have anything to rebound off of. But now JFT, with more brawl options, with the Devil Dinosaur, with the Phoenix as well, JFT now have different ways to utilize their composition, whereas instead of just playing that linear style of play, they've got different routes that they can go for. Kanga did the exact same, but we're a little more focused on trying to shut down the dive.
How fitting is it that JFT eliminate DXA in the lower bracket and their next trial on the road to success is Kanga, and of course, it had to go to 5 maps. There was no other way. We would have been satisfied. We crave the feud between these 3 teams, and these 2 are all we got left. Only one of them can carry on in the lower bracket. It's going to be a heartbreaker for whichever team ends up bowing out, but I mean, at this stage, like, who's it even going to be? The momentum is very firmly on JFT's side, but the dominance from Kanga early on still could rear its ugly head when we go to a map number 5. It is going to be Kanga's map pick. Don't go anywhere, chat. We have got map number 5 right on the other side of this break. We'll see you in just a bit.
Widow standing by. Another one bites the dust.
Do me a favor. Don't tell Alicia I was here. Oh, that looks like it hurt.
If only Sarah were here to witness me in glorious combat.
You would not last a second in heaven.
Make way for King Namor. Namor does not lose.
Hell bends to my will. Another soul to join my legions.
Frink Castle, reporting for duty. Justice, pure and simple.
I say again, it is not over yet. The matchup we witnessed on map 1 of this series is not the same matchup we are seeing now here all the way on map number 5. JFT have locked in and have become a different team. Dan, where has this JFT been this whole series?
I guess right now. We didn't see JFT's full potential, but right now they are going on one hell of a run. One more map is all it takes for the first best of 5 reverse sweep we have seen in stage 1 here in 2026, and I'm all for it, because right now Kanga on the back foot, they need to find something quick and fast, because right now it's effectively a best of 1.
I think it's not only like the first potential reverse sweep we've had in OCE, but also the first potential map 5 at all, and how fitting that it's these 2 teams. Who else could it have been aside from maybe DXA?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, JFT and Kanga, no strangers to dragging things out here in Oceania. Back in the preseason, they were 2 of the 3 teams that were caught in a deadlock coming out of the group stage, and now yet again here, locking horns and going all the way to map number 5. You know, I kind of thought in the Phoenix v Phoenix matchup that Revsy would come through yet again for Kanga, and that would be all she wrote here on map 4, but it really feels like Peter and Joji have come into their own here in the back half of this series.
Peter has been such a solid hit scan player on JFT. He's been doing what he does best, right? He's been the main Elsa player way back when Elsa was such a dominant hero in that meta, but thankfully Elsa has toned down quite a bit. Now Phoenix has been taking the reins as the best hit scan duelist in the entire game at the current moment as we take a look at our final map. We're going to the Museum of Contemplation, and what better way to settle it here in this map 5 banger?
It almost feels like a home field advantage for Kanga because, I mean, they pulled out some trickery on this map in the past. My mind goes back to that series against with Kanga and DXA Diatonic that you and I got to cast, and all the strange portals that Tinny was busting out on that Doctor Strange, you know, things that DXA would have never seen coming that buy Kanga so much time to end up getting the dub on that map. Maybe that's the kind of trickery they're going to have to pull out if they want to get momentum back in their favor, secure the dub, put JFT down for good, and deny that reverse sweep.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, this is Kanga's map pick, the last one of this series, and I do like it. I do give them the advantage a little bit here, but we've seen Museum of Contemplation so many times in both arms of the Pacific region that I have no doubt that JFT are ready for this one as well. Map number 5, Kanga JFT elimination on our hands. We will find out who goes home in just one more map. Dan, CB, take it away.
I'm so ready for this. We get a map 5 here in OCE. This is the first one, and I'm sure we'll have more along the way, but something that has not changed so far is the first half of this ban draft, because I think almost every single map so far has been ban Gambit first, secure the Dino, and then whoever's on the top side of that ban draft will take away the Mantis.
Yeah, but one thing that you cannot take away, or I guess you can take away one thing, but you need to take away two. You can't run from it. You cannot hide from it. You have to ban out either the Black Cat or the Daredevil, or both. And you also got to worry about some of these other potential threats, like the Rocket Raccoon, which again, both teams are currently hovering a ban on. Kanga, maybe a little bit gun-shy on that one. We'll commit to it. But then there's also the tricky matter of the Phoenix. Which team, or will both teams, end up with the Jean Grey? Like, there's so many things left to navigate. Only 2 more protects and bans to get through it.
JFT, at this point, they more than likely are able to secure either the Black Cat, the Daredevil, or the Phoenix as well, because Kanga, they're not going to be able to ban it until JFT commit their second save, as JFT thinking about what they want to go for. They are looking at that Groot right now.
I think, honestly, like, if you're JFT, it might be a trap to try and go for a protection on the Black Cat here, because you're going to get one or the other through either way, and Joji has been goated on whether it's the Daredevil or the Black Cat. This protect would just secure his pick of the litter, unless Kanga decide just to not ban out the Daredevil if they go for it. They are going to commit to that Black Cat protect, and it's the first time since, I believe, Hell's Heaven that they've managed to get that one through.
Yeah. And the Kanga could force the Phoenix one-sided, or go the more different approach. Take away a resource that complements the Black Cat, and what better way to take out the Captain America here? I think this is a great move for Kanga.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said, I think the Black Cat protect was a bit of a trap, because now you're going to lose out on the other side of that 2-pronged attack, and Wosh does have, other dive heroes in his bag. He's just flashed both of them. I'm wondering if maybe the Hulk comes out to play, or if he does try to commit to the Venom. I think Venom has been the more traditional plan B for a lot of teams that end up staring down the barrel of a Captain America ban. But it's kind of dealer's choice, right? Like, whether it's the Venom or the Hulk, you still kind of know what you're dealing with when it comes to these other potential dive vanguards.
But the issue becomes, right, if Wosh is gonna utilize the Venom, you have to stay away from Tinny. The Devil Dino, if you're able to get a good bite onto the Venom can't use the symbiotic defense if he's inside the jaws of a Devil Dinosaur, and that might just spell doom for Venom. So JFT, knowing that Tinny is just gonna play this Devil Dinosaur, we're gonna have to navigate this entire map just a little bit differently. Thankfully, JFT are on the attacking side, so they're gonna be able to get as much space as possible to try to corral Kanga into an unfavorable position. But with Rester on the Loki, it might be just a little bit more difficult. JFT just need to find the soft hits that they need to try to force out that regen domain, and then go for another hit where they go for those eliminations.
The double anchor Vanguard setup for Kanga with both the Emma Frost and the Devil Dino is going to make diving very tricky for Joji, but if the backline gets too split and the peel doesn't come in time, that might be the death blow. See JFT trying to make that one happen. Tinny going in on close quarters, trying to find the first down onto OP, and Winter will fall as well. First successful defense for Kanga, and Revzy going to get into the action with a nice little headshot there onto Slippery. JFT going to have to take a mulligan here.
Ooh, I like this positioning coming in from Kanga.
Joji got sector.
Yeah, using the small room right near that first corner, and that's where Kanga set up camp. JFT looking for that full dive, can't really make it happen because everyone on Kanga are just so bunkered down. Thankfully, they're gonna have to concede, so JFT can move on forward, but with this full dive, JFT are looking so aggressive.
Yeah, but it's because Joji on the exit there got sector, so Kanga had to peel back. That gave room for Woosh to go in for that dive, get the symbiotic resilience, swing back out, and every time he goes in for one of those, Kanga have to peel further back, and that's more room for Joji to come on in and start raking those claws across the face of Revzy and Juicy. Your front line, gone. Your Isaac, gone. Your cart potentially being delivered all the way in to point A as Winter getting active now in that KO feed with that White Fox going in on the dives. The whole team getting active right now. We got the whole crew pushing this Batsmobile, and JFT will have this first cap, but there's gonna be a straight TP coming out here for Kanga. JFT are gonna know exactly where they're all coming from. It's no secret, but Winter still getting Revzy through it all, and he's gonna go in through the portal, pop that Kumiho unleash, get an Elium on one side, come back through, stomp a Rampage on the other. Speaking of Rampages, Penny gonna pop one. All the ults from Kanga coming up, but they can't convert it into anything. Joji now with a calling card has taken down Sector again. The healing now cut short for Kanga. They need a lifeline somewhere, somehow, some way. Rezzer is gonna have to be the only one alive to make it happen, but now Joji going in again, taking down Juicy. Peter on that Black Cat is gonna be the one to take him down, and JFT looking to try and brute force this the rest of the way. This whole time I thought it was Joji on the Black Cat, but it's been Peter all along. They've both got a deep bag of tricks. Psionic Seduction now coming out from Isaac to try and force JFT back, try and give Kanga any sort of lifeline, but it's being cut short, and the first cap will come through.
Oh boy, Kanga make it competitive, but in the end, JFT were able to outlast Kanga. Slippery on that Fate of Both Worlds meant all the difference that JFT needed. We're able to outlast Kanga. I don't know how, but Rester was able to get the copy on the White Fox ultimate when Sector wasn't even running the White Fox, so a little bit of an interesting move coming in from Rester when he was on the Loki, but either way, they're gonna move away from the Loki, go towards the Fox and the Luna team up together. JFT will do the same, but with Joji letting the devil out, things could get really problematic.
Oh, there goes Kanga, all one after the other, like dominoes they fall, and Isaac will be amongst them as well. Joji is not done. One Sector will get it. A triple for Joji. The devil has been indeed let out on a Museum of Contemplation, and 3 minutes left for JFT to complete the point B cap.
Kanga, though, what do you do here? You don't really have the best Black Cat player. You put Juicy onto the Daredevil to try to match the aggression that JFT are giving them, but Kanga don't have the map space right now. This dive composition is not going to work out. JFT are the ones with the upper hand.
Every time Joji goes in, again, Kanga have to peel back. Woosh goes in, takes down Rester, and everybody bursted down on the side of Kanga. That Kumiho being unleashed, but so too is Joji once again, bursting down Peter, even through all the healing Sector could have possibly put out. Devil Beast Rampage from Tinny, but it's a very defensive Rampage in nature. It will be enough to repel Joji for the time being. Healing coming through, but it's not going to be enough. Tinny stomping right on through, getting Kanga back in this fight as Isaac is going to clean up Winter, and Kanga, but seemingly for the first time, stake their claim on this cart.
Yeah, at least it's better late than never. Finally, Kanga are able to stabilize, so they have a little bit of room to breathe. Let Isaac and Juicy do their thing. Try to cover all of these little areas on the map. Try to figure out where JFT wants to hit from, but OP is just going to run it down main with the Rampage.
Be able to convert that one though. Peter goes in with the Ensong Inferno and clamps right down on top of Rester, and Revzy will be joining his comrade in the afterlife. Joji and OP still running riot in the front line, and I mean that front line is all but gone, and there goes your back line as well. I don't know what Sector was doing in that deep, but I know what he's doing now, and it ain't much.
And JFT, quick as you like it, bring the momentum swinging back to their favor, but Rester is going to make things competitive with the Fate of Both Worlds. Juicy is going to try to complement with it with the devil out, but is there enough damage to outlast what JFT are throwing at them? Peter does go down. The devil is going to be countered here as everyone is throwing everything into the kitchen sink.
The coffer's being bled dry, but so is JFT's backline, but Juicy can't confirm the Elims there, so JFT able to hold on strong. Yeah, Peter, on his namesake, Peter Parker is his last name. No more Peter the Panther. Kumiho now being unleashed for the side of JFT. They want to try and get this one. They will trade out Slippery for Sector, but getting Rester as well. Peter coming in through with the uppercut. Yes, no heals. And Woosh taking down Revzy, and point B cap seems like a formality at this point. You're going to see a little bit of stagger coming out from Isaac, but it's going to be a token resistance. JFT will continue the map. They unlock the unlock Dr. Strange, take the Batsmobile to point C. Can they deliver it all the way?
JFT tried full dive in map number 1, didn't really work out. They went for a different approach in map number 2 and 3 as well. And then map 4, they were just like, yeah, we could match the brawl potential. But now JFT with this full dive coming in yet again, they have so much value at their disposal. Here we go, though. Lots of particles being thrown around. 1-for-1 trade overall as the Doctor Strange gets transformed.
Sector going in there, getting Joji. That is now a 2-for-1. Kanga going to be in the driver's seat. They want to reclaim control of this card as quickly as they can so they can ensure a potential spawn hold for JFT. Bleed out the rest of this minute and a half that is going to be on the time bank. Tinny taking down OP. Great way to do it. And Peter and Slippery both getting split off there. And there's going to be a punish. Rester cleaning up Peter. And that is going to be now Kanga staking their claim on the cart.
JFT do pump the brakes on that full dive competition. Putting OP on the double dinosaur. Peter going over to the Phoenix now, so they just wanted to use it to go in swinging in that first checkpoint and then alter their composition to something that they really want to brawl it out for. Sector is going to go in with the Kumio Unleashed, but gets immediately burned.
Slippery with the Ice Arc, just weaving, threading the needle, and piercing right through the heart of Kanga's defense, and that is going to be a double for Wosh. Joji getting the cleanup there onto Isaac, a near full team wipe for Kanga. Had Rester spawned a second later, that would have been a full ace.
But now Kanga, how do you navigate this? You have ultimates coming up close at the ready. Isaac going to the Doctor Strange, very close to the Eye of Agamotto. Juicy could also come in with the Devil out, as JFT will have ways to react towards it. Fate of Both Worlds is the main name of the game, but with 20 seconds left, Final Fight territory is inbound.
Isaac has the backline in his sights. I think might be looking for an opportunity to use that Eye of Agamotto. Peter with that Endsong Inferno. Joji gets cleaned up there by Rester. A good angle now for Kanga as they manage to have a 2-man advantage. OP taking down Juicy, but that's the only KO that JFT have managed to secure right now. They need to try and find more. They're turning around, trying to find the members of Kanga going for the flank. Eye of Agamotto from Isaac is going to put that devil right back where it came from. And the Maelstrom of Madness popping Slippery like a balloon. And JFT may seemingly be out of this fight. They're still looking for an answer, looking for a miracle. And Peter may have just given it to him, finding one, looking for the second, but can't confirm it. His health bar is too low. He's a little bit too scared, but he does find Rester. That is about as huge as it can possibly get. But Juicy letting the devil out. Finds 2, finds 3, and will put JFT in the dirt, put an end to this attacking phase, and set the bar for Kanga's attack.
Kanga just spread out the entire map. It got to a point where Rester and Sector were on the attacking side of the map, just throwing down the heals, putting themselves in an off angle, it seemed like. Because JFT, it got to a point where they had to contest the mission area if they wanted to progress any further. And that limits the space that JFT wanted to use in order to get a push going. Kanga took advantage of that and just spread themselves out throughout the entire map, and then eventually were able to clamp down JFT, because you know that JFT aren't going to want to move away from that little area that they only had to themselves.
JFT, this time it is going to be Joji on the Black Cat. No confusion this time around for me. Peter really tripped me up. Like I completely forgot. Like even yesterday we saw Peter coming out with that Black Cat, and I was like, dang, I mean, we really got 2 of the best Black Cat players in the region on the same team. That's not even fair. Like I specifically remember saying those words, and then when it happens again before my very eyes, I completely miss it. I gotta give an apology to my boy Peter there. He's gonna be manning up that Phoenix, who he has been clicking heads with and sometimes being the hero that JFT needs, but they are going to need more than a hero. We're not going to extra innings. That battle line has been drawn by Kanga, and JFT cannot let them match it. As the doors are going to open up, JFT on this Loki with the Invis, going full on brawl with this composition. Devil Dino and Groot holding up that front line.
Yeah, they're just going to poke and prod, see what sticks, whether it be an elimination or an ultimate to go off. Both sides just landing down as much damage as possible, try to get that eliminations down, or else some of those members could become batteries for ultimates that could be online and ready to go. Both sides still brawling it out, but Kanga are forcing their way in. JFT are giving so much of that space so far.
I don't know if I saw if the regen domain came out or not. That might be a go button for Kanga, but Joji gonna put a stop to that with a shot in between the eyes of Tinny, and that is one way to go dino hunting. JFT will get the first fight win.
And quick as you like it, Kanga hit the reset button. Albeit, the spawn room is very close, so they have a lot of time to adjust and figure out a different way in. As JFT, they're just sitting pretty. They have both strategist ultimates ready to go, and Kanga not quite at that pace right now. Sector only at 90%, so if Kanga wants to pull the trigger, they're gonna have to do it pretty soon. But JFT, with all the resources that they have, it's going to be an uphill battle for Kanga coming in.
Either burst through these strategist ultimates or bleed them out. Invisible Boundary going to come out from Slippery. The second ultimate should be online from Winter before long to veil the team from that final judgment. A low health bar there, but can't confirm the elim there. There's the Invisible Boundary now. Peter with the End Song Inferno to match Revsy.
Oh, what a
Juicy does
freeze.
catch Josie on a flank there, but OP trades out Isaac, and I think this one favors JFT, but as Rester coming in with that late Fate of Both Worlds, there's an opportunity. Strangling Prison coming out, and the damage coming through the headshots. It's so easy. It's literally fish in a barrel. Peter taking down Juicy. There's gonna be another one as JFT will stand their ground.
Oh no. Kanga tried to go for the offensive move. They even committed the Fate of Both Worlds, both on Sector with the Loki copy and Rester himself. And they weren't able to get the value. Great retreat coming in from JFT. We're able to disengage it to perfection. No one going down from that aggressive move from Kanga. And now with that upper hand, JFT with the final judgment could come up huge here.
The Double Beast Rampage from Tinny, and the final judgment just gonna put that that temper tantrum back in a corner. No torch for you, sorry, Tinny. Root walls to block his path as well, and
Okay.
gonna be JFT easily repelling that potential ultimate. There's a Sign of Seduction on deck, and Isaac is gonna let that one rip. Double Beast Rampage from OP, but he's bursted down with a freeze and a flame. A song of ice and fire, and OP is press and skip as hard as he can, but he's gonna be set back to the spawn doors. JFT now down a crucial member, an Invisible Boundary to make sure there is no further losses, but Peter on death's door. Slippery trying to keep him from falling through it, will be able to get him healed back up. They're giving so much cart progress in order to make that one happen. Kanga threatening the full cap here, 4.5 meters, and OP is back on the Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme. A Sorcerer arrives exactly when he is most needed, and that will stop the cap from coming through, but Kanga refused to be denied. Fate of Both Worlds will force out the Invisible Boundary from the side of JFT. Final judgment time now for the side of Kanga, but another Strangling Prison is gonna lock him down, and they will find the elim onto Rester. It's traded out for Joji, but the final judgment's still going, still culling, still ripping, still shredding, but it's not going to be enough. Another trade out, but Juicy with a shotgun shot, but still traded out every time Kanga finds something. JFT take it away from them, but the cap comes through.
Oh, Peter almost clutched it out, but unfortunately was not able to get it done by the skin of their teeth. Kanga get the first checkpoint down, and they add another 2.5 minutes to the bank. Kanga off some heroic plays from Juicy, drawing out all of JFT's resources meant that even with the portal play coming in, JFT were not able to hold him down. Peter was so close to that clutch, but we are not in that reality.
And we are in a reality where Kanga have 3 ultimates to try and brute force us the rest of the way. And Ensong Inferno off the diving strike. Joji on the Black Cat is going to go in and clean up the damage. Finds 2. Winter is there to clean up Rester. And this should be a fight win for JFT, but potentially a costly one as they invest the Invisible Boundary as well. I'm not quite sure if that was necessary. You probably would have liked that for this upcoming Sonic Seduction.
Yeah, Kanga are completely okay with it. They have all the time that they need. The matter is just making sure that they're able to force themselves their way in. Thankfully, Isaac does have access to the Psionic Seduction, so it'll be pretty easy for Kanga to, at the very least, reclaim some of that map space that they lost out on just now. But JFT, on the other hand, they're going to have to wait a little bit longer before they even have ways to respond.
Fate of Both Worlds from Rester is going to be the go button for Kanga. JFT are going to be waiting. You know Joji has that calling card. That should be the win condition, but Wosh is going to be there to try and help with the cleanup damage. Calling card now popped, and Joji looking for that kill shot, but can't quite find it. Kanga are doing a good job of weathering the storm, and in fact, it's even going to be the shotgun shot that puts Joji down. Silent Seduction is going to be answered with a late Fate of Both Worlds coming through from Winter. It's not going to be in time. They've already lost their man, and now all JFT can do is hope to try and stall out the cart for as long as possible, putting the 2 biggest, beefiest bodies they can, but Revsy is chomping down on that beef. He's getting his protein today. And that is going to be Kanga winning another fight as JFT have to take their leave.
Yeah, and that's a huge loss for JFT. Winter wasting away the fate of both worlds means that if JFT wants to find any way back in, it's going to be up to Slippery with the invisible boundary. OP's trying to make space with the Devil Beast Rampage. Juicy goes in with the final judgment. Sector's there to help him out.
Slippery catches Isaac, and Tinny was on a sliver of HP. The healing, I don't think, was allocated where it needed to go, but you need so much more healing to be able to survive through, and the invisible boundary is not going to be enough to save the Dino, but it doesn't matter because the damage is there, and JFT are coming up clutch. Peter has the flank. He's found a double, looking for Sector to try and find the triple. Is he going to get it? Silent detonation.
Oh, no.
He's not able to. Okay, he gets it. The assist comes through. 15 seconds left, and Kang are going to have to go for a teleport
They
play.
need to cancel the TP. They need to cancel the portal. Peter doesn't have to right-click down, so it's going to be 6 seconds left on the clock. As soon as that goes in, everyone on Kanga jump right on in. This is dire for Kanga. This is their final fight. Maybe in this entire tournament, they need to win here, right now.
Revsy gets the late end Song Inferno. Sector with the cleanup, and Winter is going to fall as well. And Isaac has managed to find it. 2 going down for the other side. Joji taking down Sector, but Isaac will bring him to a swift justice. Tinny is going to finish off OP, and this should be Kanga getting the cap. There's no TP play coming out from
God, that
JFT,
was so
and Kanga,
close.
they can see it. They can look straight ahead, and they see the finish line. The next round is in their sights, and JFT are running out of time to deny it.
80 more meters is the difference between a potential reverse sweep or a reverse sweep denial. Kanga just needs to win 1, maybe 2 more fights. JFT do have access to the portal, I believe. It should be back off cooldown now, so if JFT want to try to take over this fight, they need to, at the very least, concede the fight if they need to, quickly. But with Kanga on Doctor Strange, they're going to have to be confined to this little area.
It's a miracle Wosh does not fall there. Got hit with everything. All the CC, all the stuns, all the charms, all the everything. The tenacity of this guy, quite literally, is going to be able to keep him alive. Peter nearly finding Restor, and does get Revsy with the headshot there. Fate of Both Worlds going to come out a little bit late from Restor, and Kanga are going to have to try and make up for that loss in manpower, but the firepower is still very much so on JFT's side. And Song Inferno to utilize all that firepower to its fullest potential. It's not going to be enough to confirm another KO, but Joji goes in, and he finds Revsy, and he finds Juicy, and 17 seconds left, and it is a team wipe as only Isaac is left for the side of Kanga. They have to collect themselves, try and push this cart the rest of the way, get control, wrestle it away from JFT. With 7 seconds left, Freedom will ring out. Isaac is going to go in for the touch. Kanga ain't here, no bell, but Restor is fallen. Peter takes him down. The Kumiho being unleashed now for Sector. Answer with the Fate of Both Worlds from JFT. The final blow could be coming through as both Dinos gonna let the Devil Beast rampage, but Peter is still clicking heads. He's managed to find Juicy, shuts him down. Invisible boundary so far forward from Slippery, and Kanga are bleeding out 1 by 1. JFT, their heart is still beating strong. They will deny Kanga. They will complete the reverse sweep, and they are going on to face their destiny.
Oh my God, JFT get it done. 3-2 is the final score. Kanga are gone. Kanga are done. JFT move on. My God. This museum is probably the most intense one we have seen in Ignite 2026 so far. Winter coming out with the MVP. Everyone on JFT, they use all different kinds of that composition. They go full dive. They go full brawl. They do even a mix of both. And Kanga kind of just got juked out every step of the way there.
You guys can't see it, but I'm looking at Diatonic's camera right now. He is in disbelief. Like, that was a series. What a show. The heart of OCE beats strong, and the heart of JFT lives to beat another day. As they complete a reverse sweep, they send the Ruse packing down, out, back to the Outback. 26 final hits for Peter. We were singing the praises of Joji all day long, saying this was the guy, this was their ace, their point guard. But in the midnight hour, when it mattered the most, Peter came up clutch with the Phoenix shots, popping Kanga like pop rocks, and they are going to pop their way 1 round deeper into this bracket.
One more chance to, at the very least, maybe get themselves a chance at claiming that second spot, because it really feels like Gen G are going to be claiming that first spot in the Pacific playoffs. But with JFT coming out guns blazing, At the very least, it's better late than never in terms of when they showed up, when they're able to perform. Because we came in criticizing them at around, what, map 2, maybe map 3, that JFT needed to lock things down in terms of that synergy, because every time they went for those kinds of ultimate combo plays, it just never worked out for them. And this time, it has done wonders for them. Not sure what happened but throughout this entire series, but JFT have clearly woken up.
I know Kanga's hearts are going to be broken after that one. It always sucks. Like, it always hurts staring down the barrel of a reverse sweep and not being able to shut it down, not being able to find that mojo, and ending up having to take your leave. And you're going to be kicking yourself, like, wondering, like, where did it all go wrong? Where was the point of failure? Where could we have put this team away and not been in this situation? I do kind of want to counteract that and say that Kanga, I think, have nothing to be ashamed of. They should very much so be proud of the way that they played, especially Revsy and Juicy, and the way that they popped off when Kanga needed them most. It just wasn't enough when it came down to the wire. JFT had the momentum, and I think that was the difference maker.
Yeah, I mean, nothing to be ashamed of here for either side of the board. Kanga and JFT both getting their licks in, but JFT, justice for tomorrow, will live for tomorrow here. They take it in a 5-map barn burner, and yeah, you guys called it out. I was losing my mind over here, right along with you there, Chad.
I looked up and I just thought, like...
Maybe the most intense back and forth on top of that Doctor Strange I have ever seen. We know we've seen a lot of Museum of Contemplation in Pacific, but maybe the most insane run there for both of those teams. So yeah, hearts definitely broken here, but it is JFT that walk away with it unbelievably. They lock in the back half of this series, and they just never looked back.
Oh, it's just so cutthroat, right? Only the top 2 teams from OCE make it into the Pacific playoffs, and you gotta, we talked about it for a little bit, right? You gotta feel for Kanga, right? This is a team that came in with 1 roster change after coming in 3rd in OCE preseason. Now they tried to make a deep run, but unfortunately just was not meant to be here. Rester coming in, maybe that was the extra firepower that they needed in order to get themselves over the line to maybe get themselves a spot in the Pacific playoffs. But with this kind of result, you gotta really feel for Kanga here, because they played out of their minds as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dan, you called this out, and I was going to bring this back up. You're talking about Kanga's positioning on that first run there, the first half of Museum, and how there were some spawn swaps and some kind of fanning out and dividing and conquering among Kanga, something we hadn't seen from them in the previous 4 maps in this series. So you can tell they are trying everything in the playbook they possibly can to turn this thing around. But at the end of the day, it is Peter and Joji, the heroes there for JFT, helping to right the ship and turn things around for them. I mean, what a run here. I can't sing the praises for both of these teams enough. You know, clear upward trajectory of improvement for them from the preseason to now. And of course, JFT and Kanga, no strangers to each other, and maybe a little bit of a developing rivalry between the two of them after, you know, first dance in preseason and a tiebreaker. So yeah, you know, back and forth.
I'm throwing DXA in there. I think all 3 of them do have a friendly rivalry, unfortunately, of those 3. And then there was one, you know, one of them had to establish their dominance. You know, last time around, it was Kanga coming up by only 1 map to get through that tiebreaker, show up in the playoffs, and, you know, unfortunately be the only one out of that 3 to get to represent. But now this time it is JFT by 1 single map, getting ahead of Kanga and getting to advance in this group stage onto the next round. And I got to imagine that, like, again, like, these 3 teams, they're all homies, they're all friends, they're all going to be cheering on JFT and hoping that they can get the better of, whether it's Fury, whether it's Vulcan Red, whether it's the Chief, whether it's Gen G, no matter what the skill check is, they are going to have the rest of the OCE squad very firmly in their corner. And that's something that I think warms my heart about these 3 teams, and part of why they have captured my imagination as a caster so much. It's like, it's so fun to know how evenly matched they all are, but how at the end of the day, like, it's all in competition. They're all friends. They all love each other. They all support each other, but only one team can win. The road to victory is very narrow, and there ain't enough room for all 3 of them, so there will only be one for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, the sportsmanship runs deep in Oceania. You'll love to see that, and we've seen that come through in a lot of the interviews here, but these teams do leave it all on the battlefield. There are no friends. There are no allies. There are only rivals when they go head-to-head here, and yeah, again, just what an impressive matchup here. We talked about JFT a lot last night and how they looked so much better, so much improvement from that preseason, and now here tonight, clutching victory from the jaws of defeat. I had thought, you know, okay, we're 3 maps, we're going to move on to the next one, and JFT proved me wrong around every turn in the rest of this series. So major props to them. And of course, we're going to be hearing from one of the members of JFT here shortly once we get them on the line here, because, you know, I gotta wonder, what is the energy like for that team? What are the comms like when you're coming back from that reverse sweep? You get all the way to that map 5 and it gets as close as it did there.
Just as I predicted all along. I never doubted JFT for a second.
I mean, my predictions are now at risk of losing out on that all-seeing Oracle title, so I'm starting to sweat a little bit. Either way, I mean, if another upset happens, or quote-unquote upset happens, then my bracket might effectively be cooked. But
JFT already broke my Preds when they bounced the XA out. Like, the least they can do is follow through and win the whole dang thing for me now.
I was about to say, I am 100% unbiased. I'm always on Team Diatonic predictions, but my backup team is, of course, Team Cinema, and that's what we got here tonight. An absolute film from start to finish. So I know, you know, Kanga got to walk away from this one heartbroken for sure, but I imagine they will look back on it with a lot of pride, and, you know, they'll find things that they saw and they say, darn, I wish we could have thought of that sooner, wish we played that differently, of course. But yeah, the tape doesn't lie. An absolute banger of a series. And, you know, just to add on to it, that's just the first match of the night. There's plenty more Oceania after this one too.
And my voice is gonna have to hold strong for at least one more. Like,
yeah.
I was gonna say, you guys doing okay over there? You feeling all right?
Surely, Fury and Vulcan Red make it a little bit easier for us, but obviously, as casters, we hope that we get a competitive series. I mean, that was a really fun one to watch, not only just in terms of how hype it was, but also seeing different adjustments throughout the entire series. We saw teams going full dive, we saw teams going full brawl, and we saw teams going a little bit of both, and just that mix and match of those kinds of compositions that we saw throughout, not only just in that last map number 5 where we saw that kind of rotation happen the most, but throughout the entire series. It went from dive, it went from brawl, it went from a little bit of both, and then just that different styles of play that we've been criticizing a little bit, right? We saw that, what was it, JFT, right? They really relied heavily on the Joji Black Cat, but they have shown that they can spread their wings out in terms of figuring out that adaptability in terms of what kind of comp they want to go for.
I think it took them a little bit too long to realize that, like, you can just sub in the Daredevil for the Black Cat, and it works all the same. Like
or
Joji,
why not both? Why not both?
Yeah, just go in with both.
Yeah, I mean, definitely feels like we got a buffet of all the different comps. So many heroes making spotlights here on the battlefield in this matchup. But we are going to hear from one of the members of JFT now. We are going to speak with Winter here and get a feel for what the heck the energy is like over there. Because no doubt after a 5-mapper like that, got to be a lot of emotions riding high. Winter, I think we got Winter on the line here. Hold on.
There we go.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, Winter. Hello. Hey, congratulations on the win. How are you guys feeling over there after playing out that entire series from start to finish?
Obviously we're a bit like worn out, but we're very happy we won that reverse sweep. Like, it was very hard maps as well.
Was there ever like a point where you guys were like, oh, we're down and out, like it's cooked, like any like? I'm not gonna say like, did you ever consider giving up, but like, was there ever a moment where you kind of felt like, you know, you were about there?
I mean, like, we always knew we were gonna win. Like, from map 1, we just gave them 2, so yeah.
Make it a fun one for us to watch, but I gotta ask, right? You guys were really reliant on Joji, right? On the Black Cat. Have you guys been working on like things that, in case that you guys weren't able to make the Black Cat work, were you guys ready to go towards that different comp, that different level of playstyle?
Yeah, we have the DD as well, so it's like very hard to ban out Joe's hero pool. We have DD and Black Cat, and of course if they ban both of those out, we get like better backline and frontline. And Kanga, like, they're not really known for their dive, so of course we didn't really ban their Black Cat and DD out, which like obviously just gave us better backline. And we were able to ban their like Rocket and Grid out on the Central Park and last map.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like you guys had to spread your wings several times. So many comps, so many strategies hitting the battlefield this time around. Looking kind of a step ahead, you know, now you guys moving on to the lower bracket semifinals, either to face off with Vulcan Red or the team that put you down in the lower bracket in the first place, Fury. So I'm kind of curious, you know, what's kind of the thought going into this next match? What are you looking to prep for looking ahead at that next matchup?
Obviously get our revenge on Fury. I think we really fumbled the first match. Like, that should have been 2-0 easy, and then VR. We haven't scrimmed them or versed them in a while. Like, we've never versed them before, so interested to see what VR has for us. I know they got like Quan XT, like best tank in the region. So
let's assume that it does end up being a rematch up against Fury. I mean, you say like you kind of fumbled it. It should have been 2-0. If you go against Fury again here in the lower bracket with tournament lives on the line, what's the score gonna be? What's the map score?
probably like maybe 3-0, maybe 3-1. Maybe we give them a map, like.
Just to be nice, just as like a charity.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess, plenty to celebrate here, but of course, job's not done yet. Winter, any words for the fans out there or for any of the other teams and players here in the Oceania region before we cut you loose?
Yeah. Shout out Omni-Man, shout out Pekka, and shout out all the fans for supporting us. Shout out my teammates as well, of course. Couldn't have done it without them. And hope you still support us for like the next few games.
Yeah, perfect way to wrap it up there. Winter, thank you so much for joining us. Congrats on the huge win here. Looking forward to that next matchup for sure.
Thank you.
I have